Hey, it's a lot.
Oh, pack of cars come piling in as well.
Jump. Coming to light. Hello. Come back on him.
That was incredible.
Dude, nobody better. Nobody. Hell yeah, guys.
Hello there. How is it going, everybody?
General Iceberg.
Good evening.
You know, I half the time, because my mic always messes up at the start of these, I'm like, how's it going, everybody? I don't want to blow your ears out. But you know what I think today, you know what I think would be perfect to start today with, just before anything else.
Is it something related to Buckles?
Yeah, we need. There it is. Three
There
in a
it
row. Well
The
played.
Taco Bell Undertaker is coming with those 3 bells now.
I know, there's really ominous. It's like it's losing its meaning as Taco Bell's like jingle, and now it's becoming something much darker, much more twisted.
It's becoming the domination of Christopher Bell. It's the Hell's Bells for the field. I mean, you know, I wasn't even going to be subtle with that. I mean, that has to be the first place we start off. Christopher Bell wins 3 in a row. The first one to do it in the second, third, and fourth race, I believe, since 2018. I think that's what Fox was getting mixed up. The first one to do it, though, overall in Cup since Kyle Larson did it twice in 2021. But what are we thinking, guys? Christopher Bell right off the bat, just coming out like a bat out of hell.
It's wild, man. I mean, because he didn't dominate Atlanta. He's kind of, right place, right time. Coda, he was a top 5 car, really came on strong towards the end. And I mean, let's be honest, I think tire strategy played into his favor. The timing of cautions played to his favor. But Phoenix was kind of like 1 year ago. He just kind of dominated, even with the added variable of the option tires. I don't really feel like that race was ever in doubt until the final restart when Denny Hamlin, clean air, was able to keep it with him, keep it close. But now Christopher Bell, I mean, he's been the statistical leader at Joe Gibbs Racing, I would argue, the last 2 or 3 years. Keeps making the championship 4, or last year was 5th in points at the end of the season, multiple wins a year. But he's becoming a more vocal leader after Coda, his push to promote clean racing in the Cup Series. He's running dirt races more now. Joe Gibbs, thanks in part to pressure from Bell, lifted the dirt ban. He's going off and racing Tulsa. He'll be racing the high limit race. I think it's his high limit debut later this week. Christopher Bell is not just now a leader on the racetrack in the stat sheet. I think he's becoming comfortable being a broader leader of the garage, which, I mean, hey, NASCAR's been looking for that next star. Christopher Bell's throwing his hat into the ring. Larson, Elliott, Christopher Bell. I mean, that could kind of be your charge into the future if all stays according to plan.
How about you, Danny? What do you think about Bell so far this year? Just starting on fire.
I mean, it's just awesome. I made a prediction and last week that whoever won Phoenix would be in the championship 4. I'm feeling pretty good about that pick right now because it's too early to say, but if I have to have a championship favorite, well, Bell's at least one of my 4 now at this point. That's for certain right now because he's proven he can win on 3 types of tracks: a super speedway drafting style, a flat track like Phoenix, a road course at Circuit of the Americas, and well, we were probably just a few bad blocks away from him being in contention to win the Daytona 500 too. So,
True.
It's kind of crazy though that we're in this now situation here. I would not be surprised if one of the 3 of us or the chat ends up picking Christopher Bell in our picks later today.
I'll be surprised if he's not the number 1 pick, frankly.
I know, right? It's crazy though to see his rise to success like this. Only a few short years ago, we were talking about him on Wednesday nights, probably what something he did in the Xfinity or Truck Series even, and now he's grown to this point. And some of us might have questioned the move like right off the bat to, whoa, why are you canning Eric Jones and bringing in Christopher Bell? Like, does this make a lot of sense? I mean, Eric Jones has a lot of potential. He's a young driver. Well, now that we are where we are now, seeing the differences of the two's career and Jones having been in the Cup Series longer, I think it's safe to say Joe Gibbs made the right choice.
Can't say he made the wrong choice with how Bell has run so far. Who knows what Jones would have done in good equipment. Real quick before you go, Jarrett, in the chat, L-Dog asks who was the last driver to win 4 in a row. It was Jimmy Johnson in 2007. So that's where we're at. We're comparing Jimmy Johnson, and Christopher Bell. That's good company, if you ask me.
Well,
I,
I mean,
I
that
see
leads.
someone in the chat is pointing out the fact that the last 2 times someone won 3 races in a row, Alex Bowman won the next race, and Bowman has won at Vegas before.
Danny holding out hope that somebody can stop
Very
Bell,
on-
and his name is Alex Bowman.
Very on brand for Danny. Well done.
Well,
Hey,
that
it's
kind
just
of
a
leads.
NASCAR stat. That's what I'm just reading what the chat says, guys.
It's
I mean,
just facts. Just
Well,
facts.
this kind of leads us into, though, what I kind of put in the poll question here. And of course, we don't have to give our answers. I'll ask them, though, straight up, like, does Bell win 4 in a row? I kind of put it like this with you guys. First, I want to read off, because I read off the guys that won 3 in a row last week, and I'm like, okay, like that's pretty good company. How about the ones that won 4 in a row? And then I'll ask you how likely you think it is.
Okay.
Here's who won 4 in a row. Cale Yarborough in 1976, Darrell Waltrip in 1981, Dale Earnhardt in 1987, Harry Ganton 91 in his famous run in September. That one, he was only, I think, 8 laps away from winning 5 in a row before he had a fluid leak that cost him the lead at Martinsville, I believe. Might have been Wilkes. I think it was Martinsville.
Wow.
Wilkesboro, to Dale Earnhardt, I believe it was. Bill Elliott in 1992, Mark Martin in 1993, Jeff Gordon in 1998, and Jimmy Johnson in 2007.
A lot of Mount Rushmore names, and I think everyone but Gant is a current Hall of Famer that you just named.
I would say every one of those except for Gant. The biggest thing that stands out to me, in my opinion, is those drivers' talent levels at that time and their teams' manufacturing advantage and disadvantage of the field comes into play for the reason a lot of those guys did that in the times that they did it.
Yeah, like this is supposed to be the most even playing field in Cup Series history. Like obviously Bell and Joe Gibbs Racing have more resources than most teams. Like they are still one of the best teams, but like the gap we talk about between first and 25th is as close as it's ever been. Like it's supposed to be harder to win 3 straight now than ever before, especially when, again, Danny, you mentioned he did it at a super speedway, a road course and intermediate. It wasn't like a short track type combo. Like he is showing off his versatility. Even if he doesn't get 4 in a row, because a lot can happen at Vegas. I think he should be one of the favorites, but a lot can happen. Even if it just ends up being 3, still, what a statement out the gate. First driver in the next gen era to win 3 in a row. So I think that still says something about this run.
The biggest thing that stands out to me, yes, we've had a driver who has won 3 races in a row, but you talk about how different the series is each week. Who finished second behind Bell the last 3 weeks? Carson Hocevar, William Byron, and Denny Hamlin has been the second place finishers. That's a fairly different group of guys, and like I say, I put 2 of those guys on the same level, but Hocevar definitely being second. Like we have a very unique place where you never know who's going to be in contention, but to still make your name the only consistency there, it's gotta feel great, and how crazy this time in the sport is of who can do good at certain weeks.
Well, and also the next couple of weeks, I mean, it's not like it plays bad for Christopher Bell at all. He has Las Vegas, won there before. Homestead, won there before. Martinsville, I believe he's won there before.
Mhm.
Everyone forgets that one. Darlington, no slouch. So like, I don't think he's going to rattle off 6 in a row, but the opportunity to win 4 or 5, I think is much greater than a lot of people are saying. So far, 56, 57%, 55 around there are saying no, he doesn't. Or 45% are saying like, yeah, he's gonna.
But that's like crazy because obviously it's 1 against 30, 35, and we're saying it's almost 50-50 he wins and makes it 4 straight. Like that just shows you that everyone is scared of Christopher Bell, even if you're a Hamlin fan, a Larson fan, a Byron fan, so on and so on. Everyone's took note of what Christopher Bell has done, and nobody doubts him
I'm
anymore.
scared of him.
I'm terrified. Did you see that photo of him with his little white dog from years ago? The little where they're like death staring the camera.
Wait,
I
did
love
he have
that.
a crusty white dog at one point?
I don't know how crusty the dog was, but they were like, it was like a Bond villain. It's one of my favorite photos on the internet.
Hello. But believe it or not, there was more than Christopher Bell to talk about in this race, both drivers and just options alike. One of those options being the option tire, which I'm going to say this off the bat before talking about the option tire. I honestly thought that this was actually a good race, which for Phoenix standards is saying something. So, Danny, I want to start with you. The option tire. One, how much do you think it improved the racing overall? But two, do you want it brought back at other places, whether it be other short tracks, intermediates, or just say screw it and use either the tire we have now, which I don't think anyone's for, or use the option tire as the only tire?
Okay, let's start with that second question first. One, I don't want it to be the only tire. I don't think I want that, but I do want it to return. It was fun. I enjoyed watching a Phoenix race. I didn't get disappointed because we're watching NASCAR at Phoenix for once. That's huge in and of itself. And I texted Jarrett at one point during the race. It didn't work out this way, but I said I'm going to get a prediction wrong because Ty Dillon's team used a big brain move and held out his options for the last minute. If we were one speeding penalty away from Ty Dillon maybe winning this race, guys, have you thought about that? He was close. Like, he had another set and he was in the top 5. Had they not messed up, we could have seen Ty Dillon legitimately get up to the lead.
And with all due respect to Ty Dillon, that right there is exactly why I would not want this to be the tire situation in the championship race, where a clearly worse car is able to catch brakes with the timing of cautions, put their fresh set of tires on, and drive to the front. Not because they're the best driver, the best car, but because they got lucky with the timing of the caution. I wouldn't be opposed to having options, alternates at other races later this year, certainly other short ovals. But when we get late in the season, we get to the championship at Phoenix, for example, especially by then, I'd rather just have the option tires, just the softer compound. You won't see as many comers and goers as you did this past weekend, but you'll still see more likely than we've had in the past. I think that's a healthy compromise between entertainment and competition. It was fun seeing Ty Dillon up there, but no way, shape, or form did he have even a top 15 car on Sunday. But because the cautions played to his strength, he had a shot at a top 5.
Makes
So
for
that
great,
I don't. It's
makes
fun for a
great
story.
strategy with the crew chiefs, though, because when are you going to use them? Because I mean,
Mhm.
again, a speeding penalty away from seeing was that the right strategy. I would be curious to see if someone was willing to do that again, hold them out to the very end. Does that strategy work?
Yeah, it's interesting because there is a strategy component. Ty Dillon, without using his red tires, had to stay on the lead lap all day to make it work. There was, some skill and strategy that went into it, but it's also a lot of luck. And that's why, especially come playoff time, I don't think I'd want to see this. But for like a May race, a June race earlier in the season to spice up a road course or a flat track, I'm okay with it. But going forward, I definitely think the option should be like the main tire at a place like Phoenix. Like, they were clearly successful.
Well, I'll say this about, because I've heard a lot of people say the luck factor, and I get that to a point. But at the same time, if you look at short track races back in the day as well, like that what we saw, the option tire versus the regular tire, is basically the difference we would usually used to see with worn tires and fresh tires. And I get the option tires adds that agreement, or that little fold to it that's different because it's a completely different type altogether. Um, I would personally want the option tire to just be the main tire. I don't think it wore enough, though. I mean, look at Joey Logano when he got out in front. Like, yeah, Christopher Bell caught him, but Bell had the best car in the field. Like, if Bell didn't catch him on worn option tires, then the option tire would have been absolutely too far. I think that it should be the main tire for now because it's a good step in the right direction. And I want him to, maybe, they probably can't do it this year, but I want Phoenix, I want Martinsville, maybe Bristol, depending on how a testing might go with it. I want to see this option tire be the main one, and then another even softer option tire. I want to go soft enough until we reach the limit. And people need to understand, going to that point, that if we have like the option tires they bring in a year or two that are way softer, if it ends up being like a 2008 Brickyard 400, it's at least what we asked for, and Goodyear found that limit and then moved back.
I just don't want to see it be like Bristol was last year, where they're literally unloading extra tires because they're going to run out.
Well, I heard
Yeah.
Denny Hamlin say they still like he talked to Goodyear people about that, and they still haven't figured out like why the hell that happened. Like everything had to have been a perfect storm for that to happen.
I think it had a
That's
lot to do
crazy.
with the weather conditions that weekend. It was kind of like just a mid like 60, 70 degrees, and I think that played into it a lot.
Goodyear does deserve credit, though, for all but saving short track racing over the past few months. I mean, really, like we haven't talked about the car, the shifting, can't pass for a while now. I mean, Richmond last fall had the thrilling finish with Austin Dillon driving his way through the field and then wrecking a bunch of people.
For what it's worth, like we get on to Goodyear a ton. It's good to see them get a win from time to time, you know?
Yeah. That's why I wanted, because we are going to be critical of them at some point in the future. I just know it. So I want to at least celebrate this win. Like Martinsville in the fall, Blaney drove from like 10th to 1st in the final run. That wasn't possible at the start of the next gen era. Goodyear made that possible. So NASCAR tasked them with something really difficult: fix our flawed shortened road course car. And they did, more or less. I mean, like it could be better. Like you're saying, Jared, I'm okay with going softer, keep being aggressive. But like if this is where it stays for a while, it's good enough. Like it worked.
Yeah, I mean, that's the part like that is just crazy to me. Is for so long it was Goodyear wanting to make just solid rocks that will never wear, that will never blow out. Because I don't blame them. People who weren't around in 2008 do not understand the impact that race had on Goodyear from that point forward. Like, because that was a national embarrassment. Because at that point, the Brickyard was like on par with probably over, I'd say, the 600 and definitely the Southern 500 when it was moved. It was the second biggest race on the schedule. It was like the crown jewel for ESPN and ABC at the time. I mean, it brought in more viewers than the Indy 500. So when that happened, like there was stuff like on Good Morning America. Like I'm like up in the morning and my mom's watching her news shows in the morning and they're like trouble in NASCAR. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like that, it was huge. It was a huge embarrassment. And so for Goodyear to take this step is nothing to completely just be like, well, yeah, they should have done it. Yeah, they should have done that a while ago. But the fact they finally did is a huge step. And so I am all for it. Let's get it as soft as possible. And then once we figure it out, because NASCAR gave us the teams, everyone, a car that on these tracks was just not ready at all. And Goodyear, for the most part, has made it go from the worst races we've probably consistently seen at those tracks ever to all right races to now we're praising a Phoenix race. Like that, that is a wide range to go.
I know I got this prediction technically wrong later on, but I want to give myself some credit here and now. I predicted last week this would be the most positively reviewed Phoenix race in quite some time. Wasn't the most ever, but it was up there. It was the most in the next gen era. So like
you were contending. You were contending.
We had hopes. We all had. We were very optimistic coming into the weekend, and it's nice to see Goodyear delivered.
I'll put it like this on that prediction. I had it highlighted in green until this morning. Like that's how close it came.
It was wrong, but yeah, it was close. It was close.
Well, and some other things to talk about in this race. I want to point out a few good runs before we go into any major topics here. You kind of saw it on the bottom beforehand, but good runs for Josh Berry, Kyle Busch, and Zane Smith. Berry with a top 4 finish, 4th place. Kyle Busch finished 8th. Probably should have had a top 5 or close to a top 5.
That don't sound right. They were praising Kyle Busch top 10s. That just doesn't.
It is a step.
I think he has. Is it 3 in a row now for him? 3 top 10s in a row. I believe so.
Yeah. I mean,
that's worth celebrating because last year I think he had 10 top 10s all year. He's already a third of the way there, and we just started the year.
Had I told you early on that not only would Kyle Busch be in the top 16, have 3 top 10s, but he'd be tied with the likes of Denny Hamlin and Joey Logano, would you be happy with that as a Kyle Busch fan? I think you should be. Like,
I think so.
Is it 2019?
Yeah. I mean, that's probably the last time that consistently he'd be up there. So I just wanted to point that out. Now, on the other end of things that might not have been the greatest, there was the big one that happened in this race.
Really caught us all off guard, that even happening.
I will say, for anyone who goes to my post-race streams in the chat, beforehand, we're all talking, and right before the restart, I'm like, they've been racing like 4 and 5 wide a lot, and we've been due for a real track blocker at Phoenix. Like 2018, there was a Kurt Busch wreck that involved a couple people, but like the last huge one like that
It's like
was like
2012, right?
2011.
11.
Yeah, and so I
Yeah.
was like, damn.
Yeah, we got a glimpse of that again. It's still like it looked to me. Ty Gibbs came up and kind of, even though he wasn't the first to make contact, it was his car that kind of initiated the squeeze. They were 4 wide, and he sort of drifted up like they were maybe 3 wide, and then Briscoe and Haley got together, and Hocevar was kind of an innocent bystander. On that note, Spire Motorsports, all 3 cars qualified top 10, looked pretty good from what I could see in practice speeds, and then I was watching them to start the race. Hocevar was the only one with any pace. McDowell and Haley dropped immediately, and then Hocevar had a bad pit stop, and that's why they all got swept up in that wreck. Or McDowell had his own issues separately. Really rough day for Spire, side note, and a rough day for Ty Gibbs. I don't want to like bounce around too much, but Ty Gibbs, it's been well documented now. 9 straight finishes of just bad, bad.
Wait,
Look back,
for
and
it.
I had Hocevar as my underdog last week. I'm kind of glad I did because he really, underdog.
Wait for it. For those listening,
He
here
is
he is.
34th in points, Ty
He
Gibbs.
is. He's still doing better than Cole Custer and Cody Ware.
I mean, Austin
Hang the
Cindric
banner.
has a 50-point penalty and has an advantage over Ty Gibbs. It's
yeah,
rough.
you're right. Dang.
It's rough for Team 54 right now. And this was just the latest. I mean, this wreck actually isn't what took Ty Gibbs out. I should point out he drove back into the top 15, I think, before his brakes let out later. But it's just a mistake, perhaps. It's just not. There's no good momentum there.
Our chat's full of Grandpa, can you give me Christopher Bell's car?
I'll say this, they had that Fox graphic, and I have plenty of criticism of Fox for days, but they had that graphic ready. They were like, hey, wait for it. It'll happen.
That was brutal. They had that ready to pull on a dime.
God, I kind of want to see it now, because I know if you go on Racing Reference, you can pull up the driver's entire career, and of course, you just scroll down to the bottom and you'll see the rest. I want to see like just how bad, because they showed that graphic, but just how bad this streak overall has been.
I know his last 9 races going back to the end of last year, he has a 31st place average finish. That I do know. I looked that up.
God.
And I think,
damn.
I was talking to a guy this morning. I think Daniel Cespedes, shout out to him on Twitter, shared it's the worst 9-race stretch for any Joe Gibbs Racing driver in the history of the team.
Okay, he has a couple top. Jesus, even worse than JJ Yaley.
Apparently, it reminds me of like YouTube. It reminds me of YouTube Rewind being the most disliked video on the YouTube platform for a time. It's like, of course, a Gibbs holds the worst record in Joe Gibbs Racing history.
I'm looking back, and so he, of course, has top 5s and top 10s mixed in. He has 1, 2, 3, 4. So he really only have 4 top 10s, and they're all top 5s since this span. But honest to God, like from Sonoma on last year, it's atrocious. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, what did I just count off?
Half the season almost.
Okay, but what statistic do you think I counted off right there?
Oh, I have
since
no idea.
Sonoma last season, which is 24 races, and I counted 16.
Finishes outside the top 30.
Finishes 20th or worse.
Okay, close.
Wow.
That is atrocious.
It's bad. And a lot of it is, more or less bad luck. He was partially to blame for the big crash on Sunday, but that's not what took him out. It was seemingly a mechanical failure, which I don't know if that's on him or the team, or if that's just
really
bad luck.
Go back even to non-points race to Clash and what happened there.
He missed the show in the Clash. So, yeah, I just don't know. Ty Gibbs, we worried about this with Ty because he was extremely talented, had a ton of success in the Xfinity series and ARCA for that matter, right off the bat.
That's
Always
why I
in
don't
the best
buy
car.
into Connor Zilish too much right now.
Well, but I would say the difference was Ty was in the best equipment in ARCA, and I would say he was probably in the best Xfinity car. And he won a lot of races, looked really good. And it's like things were going well, but even when things were going well, occasionally, he'd say something stupid, he'd wreck his teammate, he'd lash out intentionally or unintentionally, and it made us go, ooh, he's got some growing up to do. And unfortunately, his Cup Series career now, he's he's no longer the best car. In fact, now he's maybe the 18th best car on a given day. He's running 25th. And we worried if that would, mentally get to him and he would struggle with that. All professional athletes grow up being the best at their respective sport, best on their kids' team, best in high school, best in college. They get to the NBA, the NFL, MLB, and they're middle of the road. And like mentally, that can be a lot to grapple with. I guess this is my long-winded way of asking: is Ty Gibbs' head just not really in it right now?
I'm gonna bring
he's got to get something figured out because he's got nothing to worry about for his ride. It's not like he's going to lose that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna bring something up as respectfully and gracefully as possible, and I'm not saying it to bring up demons or anything bad like that. But you also got to remember how young he is and what he's been through in the last 2 years or so. Like,
sure.
and especially, I can't imagine going back to Phoenix if I'm Ty Gibbs.
That's a fair
point. I want to give him a little grace there. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, if we're just looking strictly performance, like, it's awful. Like, in that car, the caliber of driver that I think he is, like, this is unacceptable performance. He should be better.
Because, like,
at the same time,
if he ever gets a win there, it's gonna mean a lot to him to get that win there.
That's a fair point about Phoenix. I'd say
I want to give him grace though. If we're talking like he's not in the right headspace, like I can guarantee you he's not in the right like headspace that any other driver would be. And this, a lot of it stems from when I was listening to Dale Jr. talk about the same thing. If there's anyone that would know that kind of feeling, it'd be him. And don't get me wrong, like if you look early in his career, like there was a good span of time there too where he wasn't the greatest either. So I want to give him that respect at least too, that like he's probably gonna need time to get fully focused. It's not going to be something that flips in a year, 2 year, 3 year kind of thing. I want to give him that at least because I do think he is an incredibly talented driver. What he showed, I mean, yeah, he had the best car, but I mean, people forget just how dominant he could be at times. He won in his first start in the Xfinity Series.
Yep, with no logo on the car, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, nothing on it. So,
yeah,
I think they can dig out of it, especially like all it takes in this system is a win, and then you can spend half a summer, testing basically at that point. So,
my only concern with Gibbs is that he has, his rookie year was fine. Then he actually was pretty good for most of his second year. And then this is like his third year. It's just the ebb and flow is why it's like, man, like where's the lack of focus? Where's the mojo at? What's changed recently?
Harrison Burton won in his third season. What was his average finish last year when he won Daytona?
It was not good. Yeah. No, I mean, the season's not over for Ty Gibbs. I don't think anyone's saying that. We're just saying
it's over, Eric. It's over.
It's over.
It's yeah.
It is so Tyver.
No, it's not that.
Well, who it looked at times to be over for was a couple of guys that made mistakes on Sunday, whether it be just mistakes of luck or mistakes of penalties. The luck ones with the caution coming out, Byron and Elliott were, I think, the big losers on that one. Where is Sal in the chat to tell us how big of a loser they were in that moment? That just plain sucks. Like you can't control that happening. Was it Ty Gibbs crashing that caused that caution too?
I don't remember
down there.
It might have been him or maybe Bubba. It might have been Bubba losing his brakes or what his issue was.
I just realized, chat, you're picking the wrong Ty each week for suck pick. You need to be changing it up now. It sounds like.
I mean, Ty Dillon is higher in points.
Yeah, and we almost had a top 5.
So hang the banner.
I still think if somebody picks a suck pick and they win, it should be negative 10 points. I still think that. I still think we should write that into the NWP bylaws.
Everyone picks Cody Ware every week.
I'm just saying, if for some reason I'm just saying.
The one though that I do want to talk about, and this isn't to rub salt in the wound for anyone, but Joey Logano's early penalty. Now, as soon as I saw it, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's pretty black and white rule. It just reminds me of the double yellow line rule at super speedways. Clint Boyer immediately sets the tone for the discourse on this, though, going, that's way too ticky-tack. And you just hear Kevin Harvick be like, it's a black and white line.
Technically yellow, but yes. No, it was a penalty. It sucks because we're talking about like 3 inches. And like, did he gain an advantage by doing that? No, but that can't be a gray area. The sport is full of gray areas. Fans, drivers alike are constantly calling for gray areas to be eliminated. it sucks that it was a hefty penalty that put Joey behind pretty much the whole day, but a penalty is a penalty. The call is the call. This is one of the easiest calls to make. And it's not like this is a new thing where it's like, oh, we're getting used to restarts at Phoenix. Like, no. Guys have gotten called for this pretty much every race weekend since they repaved the dog leg. Like, this isn't a new thing. Drivers are aware you can't dip below the yellow line before the start finish. Stay in your lane. Everyone knows it. So Joey got caught with doing it. It sucks. Bad break, but the call was correct and needs to be enforced as such.
I'm sorry. I just saw what Peter put. It sucks. And we're talking about 3 inches. Hey, at the end of the day, it turned out to be a lot of length when it came to Logano. Unfortunately
Just
for that.
tune into NASCAR each week, guys, and you'll get all you need.
His option tires didn't last long enough.
Well, and that set him so far back in the race, they had to use their option tires early.
I'm going to reject that notion. He did not need to use his option tires. Josh Berry, same equipment. I mean, they're all basically the same equipment, but same shop. Also got sent back to 30th around the same time because of an issue on pit road. Did not burn his options and drove back to finish 4th. So I will say, I think Joey Logano, I don't blame them for doing it. I think in the moment it's fair to say, hey, this is our only way we get back into it. But if you're, big picture, they didn't have to, and Josh Berry proved that.
But that it did ruin their race. Like, that's the point I was making.
Well,
is like
no, but Josh
ended up, it put them in a position to make a bad decision.
Sure.
Like,
yes.
It's kind of like when you have a 12-yard sack on 2nd and 2. Like, yeah, you can run a 14-yard pass play, but like, you better not just try and like throw it into
you
double
might throw
coverage
a pick.
I
hear you. I understand. I'm just saying that if obviously hindsight's 2020, but I'm just saying like his teammate effectively dealt with something similar and didn't put the options on, and it worked out better for them. So I did that was all I was trying to say. Was like, we praise Paul Wolf, great crew chief. This is one where I think, they got a little jumpy perhaps, but hindsight, they probably wouldn't have put the options on when they did.
I will say that is the strength of Paul Wolf and Joey Logano. Those two like to just put it on the edge. Let's have a crazy ass strategy. And more often than not, they're pretty damn good at winning those strategies. This one, it burned them. You know what?
This is let me pull it up. This is a great point here from Duke Chronic, though. I guess this is fair. Logano did get 9 stage points using that set. So I think based on their finishing results, he probably ended up with the same points as Josh Berry. So
I can double check for you if you want.
So, okay. All right. It's not, so yeah, we're saying, rare Paul Wolf L. Okay. It's a lowercase L, if even that. I'm not even going to say it's an L. It was just, hey,
Barry got 6 more points for a 4th place finish than Joey Logano's 13th place run.
So it's a lowercase L for the 22 team. Just a lowercase, not a capital.
I believe.
That's probably right.
Can never keep these damn points and all that stuff counted right. It'd be definitely a lowercase, not a big L, but a lowercase L.
Yeah. Still a decent point day.
On the other end, let's look at something this is going to be a talking point every cable race this year that was a non-cable race the year before. Let's look at the ratings real quick. We have the ratings for actually all 3 races this weekend. But the Cup Series scored a 1.43 rating with 2.82 million viewers. This is also with a peak of almost 3.5 million watching at the finish. Keep in mind, this was on cable FS1 versus Fox last year, so it is down 30%. It's hard to compare, but this is more or less a reflection of NASCAR's decisions to take the money over the viewership, which we're going to be talking about all year. I mean, this is going to be something we're going to talk about this all year, except the first 3 races and the last 3 races, and then like Daytona and Talladega, because I don't know if people know this, but the next big Fox race is Talladega. And after that, the next race on network television is Daytona in August.
Yeah. It's a lot of cable, obviously some streaming mixed in there for sure. Rough. I think, did we talk about on the show last week how it was like 16 or 8? I think it was like 16 network races last year down to like 8 or 9 this year.
It's like
20.
20.
Yeah. It was like cut in. I knew it was like cut in half roughly, which I mean, for cord cutters out there, not great. Although HBO Max, their in-car cameras, they finally got them synced up better. And if you want to watch the race that way, that's just one subscription. And you can do that the whole 38 race season.
This is crazy. Napa Racing Fan 927 said, don't forget, Fox, instead of NASCAR, had Big East women's basketball that was what was more important in NASCAR this weekend.
It's more NASCAR's more important in it, but the thing is, they're like, we need people to pay for cable because that's where we make our money is through FS1. People will pay for NASCAR. That's what it comes down to.
I'll bet you $10 NASCAR got like at least 1 million more viewers. At least.
Yeah, 100%. If they were purely chasing, that's like Fox. Be interesting to see you never see this, but be interesting to see their bottom line, like how much of their revenue is from like TV advertising versus cable subscriptions. Especially how has that changed over the years as cable subscriptions have gone down?
You reminded me with TV advertising. Holy crap, it's a huge difference even between a big Fox race and an FS1 race with the commercials. I mean, it was there were a few times where they like came back, watched them for like a lap, and then went back to commercial. And I'm like, oh Jesus, this is rough. Like, I mean, for Fox standards, it's like they're like, what did we take away from Coda last week? I know how we filmed the finish. Let's have that same standard for every single thing we do. Let's call it the closest Phoenix finish ever, even though we showed the closest one ever 5 minutes ago, and one of the guys in our freaking panel won that race.
Yeah.
And we all were there. Fox was covering it. Like, how did you forget that? It was a great finish, close finish. I thought Kyle Larson actually was going to have it the way that those two teammates were racing at the end.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I'm with you. Fox is. I'll give them credit. You know, they part of what's happened is during the Daytona and Atlanta races, they would not show commercials over green flag racing, full screen commercials. And, you know, that was awesome. I appreciate them doing that. That's great. But I think we get used to that. And so then when you go to a more traditional oval, it's more jarring, unfortunately. But yeah, I don't like to rant about it every week, even though I see fans ranting about it every week. Our friend Brock Beard is on Twitter pointing out their flaws, you know, half a dozen times every Sunday, and most all of his criticisms are fair. It's just everything at this point. Artie Kempner's no longer the director he used to be. It's clear that Fox maybe doesn't have the cameras they used to. There's just not the attention to detail there used to be. And I'm going to say it. I think Kevin Harvick's not very good in the booth. I like he and Boyer especially have zero chemistry. The dynamic, they're trying to be Shaq and Charles Barkley, but because Kevin Harvick's a champion and Boyer isn't, every like shtick is him putting Boyer down. And because it looks like a bully putting a little kid down, Boyer's like, I got to get the last word in, and he fumbles over it constantly. So they're failing on the Shaq Barkley dynamic, and it's hard to listen to. I don't like it at all. Mike Joy is trying his best, but now he's getting facts wrong, like closest finish, and it's
the thing with Harvick. I can listen. I got a video coming out about tomorrow because at this point it's a biannual thing during the Fox side of the season, and I hate that it is because I think the reason so many of us get so upset, one, is because we remember when Fox was really good. Like if you started watching from about 2016 on, you don't remember prime awesome Fox.
Like for years. Even when NBC first came back, I would say publicly, Fox is my favorite like broadcast.
Yeah,
they were so good. It felt like a big game. So, they were sharp. It was awesome.
I'll say this about Harvick. Harvick's problem is something that can be fixed. Like it's just stiffness. Like you can tell, I think the guy is still a little nervous up in the booth.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to. It's amazing. Someone like Kevin Harvick probably doesn't want to step on toes, things like that. But he's insightful enough and he knows enough about the cars. He's raced them so recently.
True.
And he still was really good. Like when he talks about that stuff, I'm invested. It's the way that Darrell Waltrip was in the 2000s. Clint Boyer has that, but it is clear that they're trying to play him up as the next DW, the next Mikey, you know, let's just play him up. And it's just not working. The experiment failed. We just need to admit it. I mean, I'd almost be fine with them doing what they did with Jeff Gordon, even though Gordon, I don't think was nearly as good as Harvick can be, and just doing a 2-man booth. Mike Joy, he's at the cliff. Like he's still good, but he's at the cliff DW was in like 2014, 15, where it's like, you can kind of see it going away a little bit, but it's like, it's still too taboo to call out yet without people getting on your ass.
We need someone who can bring that same roles of Mike Joy, but who's in their mid 40s, basically.
I'll give Joy credit. We talked a couple of years ago about maybe the energy's not quite there. The
He's brought
energy's
it
been
back.
up. The energy has been up the last 2 years, I would argue. The problem is now he's slipping on the other things. Like, he got 2 important stats wrong in the final, like 10 laps. And it's like,
When
oh man.
when Mike Joy's getting history facts wrong
Yeah.
too, and it's like stuff you should know, that's when I'm like, that's a little concerning.
Yeah, it's just
Um,
it's we
yeah,
don't like to nitpick, but it's so consistent, and it's the problem. The problem I have is the CW with Kligerman, McMurray, and Adam Alexander.
it
They've been together for 4 races now, and they already have
Great
significantly
dynamic.
more chemistry. Their dynamic is better. They're educational and energetic. Like that. That's the
Mike.
problem is we have a broadcast that's been doing it for 4 races that I already enjoy listening to far
I,
more.
I just realized a mistake I made. I said that we need someone who can be like Mike Joy, but who's in their mid 40s. And someone pointed out, how old is this person? Jamie Little, 46 years old.
No,
Be careful what you
no,
wish for, Danny.
no. I will say this though. I love the CW in the booth. I love the production. I love everything about the broadcasting that itself. The affiliates don't get for the CW don't get off the hook this week either.
No,
I mean,
we can rip them in a moment. Yes.
well, I mean, we're going to bring up their ratings because the ratings
Sure,
were
sure.
actually really good.
Mhm.
1.2 million viewers, I believe, for a Phoenix race, up 13%, another double-digit increase. We saw this coming. The problem is that wide swaths of the country didn't get the race. Like I know a bunch of people in Wisconsin didn't get it. Michigan has been a problem all year with different areas not getting it. The Portland area didn't get it. Atlanta and the surrounding area this week cut off the damn race at 1 to go.
Yeah, they had to issue an apology. The CW did. Ugh.
I've said it after every Xfinity race this year because like I did a poll and I was like, okay, we have I think I had like 500 something watching. I'm like, how many of you got the race in your area? And it was like only 70%, like 30% of the people of 500 watching, which is a pretty like in polling is not the smallest sample size ever, didn't get the race. And I can't like, and they're like yelling at me about it. And I'm like, oh, I didn't do it.
Yeah,
What do you want me to do?
it's unfortunate because these ratings, these numbers for the Xfinity series are great. They could be even better. And more than anything, what confuses me is the deal they have with streaming is the CW will put practice and qualifying on the CW app. You can go to cwsports.com or whatever it's called and watch it live for free because it's a network. It's a broadcast channel. You don't need to buy a cable add-on or subscription. It's over the air television. So they put it online for free. But then when it comes to the race, they're like, no, we're not going to stream that live. That you can come back a day later, but we require you to actually turn on your television set to watch that. And I don't get that. I understand there's contracts in place, but hopefully those contracts can be edited because that'd be the easiest short-term fix to all this. It's just stream the race on your website. It's free over the air anyways. Why not put it free on the internet on your site where you can still show the same commercials? I understand that, it's local affiliates. And so a lot of the commercials are local commercials. And how do you, I don't know, maybe with your IP address, they can still tailor your stream to the right local ad. I don't know the technology. But
I get local YouTube ads sometimes. So.
Yeah, I do too. So the technology exists. There's just some sort of contractual hang up, I suppose, that's made viewing the Xfinity series a lot harder than we all thought it was going to be. So hopefully they can fix that.
But I've said it each week. I mean, the CW has really hedged its bets on sports, and it used to be a channel that had all like the crappy DC shows,
teen dramas.
Yeah, and teen dramas and all that, like a bunch of stuff that you could tell was like just made in front of a green screen or written by people who needed a step in the door. But they have hinged their future on sports coverage, which is the best form of live stuff that you can have on TV. And if they're to compete with ESPN, with Fox, NBC, CBS, you name it, like they have to be on the same page. They have to. They have a huge built-in audience coming with Xfinity. We've had well over 1 million viewers each week for an Xfinity race this far, even into the year. That's saying something nowadays. Like they're going to have college football. They have, I think basketball and other things like that.
I'm looking at it right now. What all they have? They have ACC football, Pac-12 football, but little there is of it now. They have a show inside the NFL. They have the NASCAR Xfinity Series. They have WWE, NXT, and ACC basketball. So they've got a solid lineup that they're building with CW Sports right now.
It's a niche lineup, but it is like they all have their rooted fan bases. But you're right, Jared. It's the local affiliates just aren't
Yeah.
aren't
I mean,
aren't on the same page, and hopefully that changes.
I would get it if it's like a really big local basketball team and that's the only channel they're able to get it on. But
Yeah.
like when I have people in my DMs being like, why in the living hell am I seeing reruns of Young Sheldon over the NASCAR race? Okay, now it's unacceptable. Like
Yeah,
at that point,
that's-
like I know you're
I agree.
good show. But like, what are we doing? Come
Young
on,
Sheldon
guy.
is better than Big Bang Theory. I will say
Oh,
that.
easily.
My
Well,
wife like binged the entirety of Young Sheldon a few months ago. I was
I
like,
have- I
really?
have
She never
watched-
seen Big Bang Theory, but she binged the whole thing.
I watched Big Bang Theory when I was younger. I've watched pretty much all of Young Sheldon and the new George and Mandy show spinoff through YouTube Shorts, basically.
yeah, pretty much. Well, no, it was
God,
funny. Like one day
we
I
are
was,
so
like,
brain rotted.
one day I was flipping through my YouTube Shorts tab and it came up. I was over at John's. We were setting up for an event. And he goes, "That Young Sheldon?" I'm like, "Yeah, you know it." He goes, "Dude, I watch it." I'm like, "Holy shit! I found some. I didn't know we all watched that show." All right, let's go.
YouTube
All right.
has forced me to watch that,
Guys,
and the
it's pretty
Rookie
good.
cop show for some reason.
Guys, we need to stop talking because the CW is going to hear this and they're going to keep showing Young Sheldon over the
So,
Xfinity race.
Show it after the race, and I'll keep the TV on and watch it during my stream. Like, hey, look at Georgie's on TV. Nice.
There we go. Beautiful.
Anyway, bazinga, nice. Anyway, we do have a poll to look at. Poll.
Poll.
All right.
Taco Bell noise. Dong.
Yeah, it's too late now. I'd have to look for it. Well, this week we had 12,000 of you vote, thinking or asking you what you think of the Shriners Children's 500K. The hell is a kilometer? 21% of you said this was a great race. 62% said good. So 83% net positive. 14% said average. 3% said negative. And I decided over the last week after our little like on-air production meeting about getting the numbers. I don't have everything in like best ever. This was nowhere close. That would be last year's race at Kansas with a 95% positivity rating. But I did pull it up and have it in order. And this race ties two other races on this poll for the most positive of all time. But the tiebreaker I had is a net negative higher or lower? It's lower. So technically it wins the tiebreaker on that. It tied the 2020 Phoenix spring race. Did everyone just vote positive because we knew COVID was coming and we weren't going to get racing? Because I feel like that it was canceled after I put that poll out.
Yeah, I was at that race and I don't even remember. I don't remember what single thing that happened, to be quite honest with you. I don't even know who won that race. I don't even remember.
Was it Hamlin? Who won that race, y'all? Tell us in
Who
chat.
won the 2020 spring Phoenix race? I was there. I don't remember.
And then the other one was the finale that Larson won in 2021. That one was also, I kind of figured it would be. And then, of course, the one right under that is the one Chase Elliott won. I did not think that this was the case, but half of the races that have been voted for Phoenix are 70% or higher on the poll.
We have a very positive viewership base. They like to see the bright side. Yeah, it was apparently Joey Logano. I legit do not remember that.
I've actually looked
the 2020 spring Kansas race.
Phoenix.
Phoenix.
Phoenix race.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said Kansas.
I said the Kansas race last year was the most positively voted at 95%.
The Busher Larson finish, I assume.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that whole race. That was awesome. And the lowest one, I think I have it on here. Where'd it go? The lowest one of all time, I have the official numbers now, was 2019's first Pocono race.
Oh, yep. Valid.
It was a net positivity of... Oh, I just lost it. Where'd it go?
I don't think
14%.
Yeah, I don't think a single pass for position was made that entire race.
And we had 43% net negative and 44% said average. So
brutal.
That was a rough one. But yes, that is the poll, and we do have some comments as well. First one comes from Isaac, who says, "Man, I thought because we were racing at that cursed track known as Phoenix, I was going to get some paperwork done before I start my job tomorrow. But to my surprise, it was a very good and enjoyable race, albeit with one too many cautions, particularly for Phoenix standards. Well, looks like it's going to be a long night. By the way, since he started his job, he won't be in the chat live as much anymore, but congrats on the new job, Isaac."
Yeah, congratulations.
Comments here, some more. Snap back to reality. KFB says the miracle NASCAR, or should we say Goodyear, made Phoenix exciting for once, in all caps. Irving Boy 1122 says 3 straight wins on 3 different tracks. Bell is easily the championship favorite. This guy's incredible. I'm gonna say this. I don't think we have championship favorites anymore. Like, we have ones that we think will do well, but especially 4 races in, I'm not reading into shit anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to, you could say, hey, he's stacked up a lot of playoff points, certainly likely to get to the championship 4 at this rate. But yeah, it's a little early to start making any definitive calls.
This one, I didn't even know how to pronounce it when I wrote it down. I think it's Who's Jazikolnik. Who's the Who said, not gonna lie, I kind of want to see 4 in a row. That would be cool. He's good in Vegas.
It's sort of interesting. Like, you know, I feel like other sports love when athletes dominate. You know, they love seeing the Warriors in the finals every year, the Chiefs in the Super Bowl every year. The ratings say they love it. But NASCAR was kind of the opposite. Like with Jimmy winning his 5 in a row, ratings went down every year, you know, but now all of a sudden it's like we have a star maybe like emerging, a breakout year, if you will. And everyone's like, damn, I kind of want to see how far he can go. Like, it feels like when Tiger Woods was at his peak, or, you know, when Max Verstappen was first, you know, bursting onto the scene. It's like, shoot, how many races can this guy win? Like, you know, it's interesting dynamic to see. I'll be curious if he does win Las Vegas. What is the discourse like? Are people going to be sick of it yet? Or are people going to be like, damn, keep going, shoot, like make it 5?
He hasn't been dominant to the fact that it's like when Jimmy Johnson, and it was like 2 straight years, and then it's like, especially with the storyline of Gordon, who was clearly the best all year, and he's beating him. Like, at that point, like, I get why, but like Bell hasn't done anything, I think, other than drive a Toyota to be hated by a large amount of fans. He hasn't done anything worth being hated, I should say.
He's only hated by the mother of your child.
Yeah, he's not even hated anymore. It's just like mildly disliked.
Oh, wow.
And that's just for ruining her Daytona 500. Well, yeah, it's been 4 or 5 years. It should be that.
Time heals all wounds.
Yeah. Josh Bob says, by golly, I actually enjoyed that Phoenix race.
By golly, I did too.
D. Moran says, so this is how it felt for us non-Larson, how it felt for non-Larson fans in 2021. The 24 teams had a good strategy, just got messed up by that caution.
I think Byron would have been in the picture if he had not lost all that track position.
Yeah, he was definitely the best of the Hendrick cars, I'd say. Rusty Shackleford says, why does everyone enjoy this shit when it just comes down to overtime every single week? It didn't come over to overtime this year.
Yeah, technically they finished at the scheduled distance.
Get it together, Rusty.
Get
Rusty
your facts straight.
Ill here says, mascara in the eye is painful. We had a history of meme comments. I figured I'd bring it back.
Is that a meme, or is that just lol random?
I mean, I wouldn't know. I'll take their word for it.
Okay.
Are people really like that upset by any of us swearing? We're 3 grown adults.
Did we swear? I didn't even hear it.
I read the word shit.
Oh, shoot.
Well, I think Eric had something slip out earlier. There's people saying swear jar earlier too.
Oh man,
I'll
bad
smash
influence.
that swear jar and go spend it for bubblegum.
Jared, it ain't me though. I'm like the safest one on the show.
Jared, next week, next to the NWP above Danny's head in the corner, we need to add like a viewer discretion is advised.
Have
just so people know
for a moment.
Yeah, or the parental advisory explicit content. We just need to add that little watermark just so people know we're hardcore. You never know what we're gonna say next. Damn.
Well, let's
gosh
see
darn it.
By golly. Well, speaking of not knowing what they're going to say next, let's get to the gutter here. Cryptic says Xfinity was better.
It was a decent race. I don't know if it was a better race, but
Red View says 2 cautions in the first 10 laps. I didn't know it was amateur hour. Then having an option tire. These clowns continue ruining this once great sport with gimmicks.
We didn't touch on that, and I don't know if we had it in our notes for later, but the Catherine Legg deal. Do we want to touch on Catherine Legg real quick?
I think just the biggest thing is NASCAR needs to have a better vetting process, like running running 10 laps and getting crashed out of an ARCA race should not qualify you to
I'm
drive.
kind of with Daniel Suarez on this. He's not mad at her. He's mad at NASCAR.
Yeah. That's it's not her fault at all. She went through the hoops, but I mean, we had the same kind of conversation with Elio Castroneves, where it was same thing. That you have these people coming in. I guess she's driven an Xfinity before.
She did run some ovals. She ran some ovals in IndyCar last year. She did run a good
I'm sorry.
I'm happy for
not a 1-to-1 to NASCAR.
No, it's not. But I'm just pointing that out. Yeah,
I'm happy for people like BJ McLeod and his family and that team, because she brought in good funding for one race that could benefit them as a program.
And she was set up for failure.
Oh yeah, for sure. So little track time, car she's never driven, slowest car in the field, difficult track. Now the thing that, so I looked at Catherine Legge and said it was kind of a 50-50 call, because she does have a lot of IndyCar experience. Like, you could argue she has more recent IndyCar experience than Elio Castroneves does, and they let Elio race. So I'm like, okay, I could see letting Catherine race. It's not a high speed oval. It's a more modest oval. So since it's a regular season race, I'm like, okay, it sucks it ended up why it did, but okay, don't let her do that in the playoffs, but okay. But then I saw a clip today from a Motor Stardom. I think it's RJ runs that is his name. Tommy Joe Martins said that, I think it was recently, he said that he was going to run the Coke 600 for Carl Long, and NASCAR would not approve him. And I know that Tommy Joe Martins doesn't race much anymore, but he's raced full time within the last few years, has, I would guess, probably at least 100 plus Xfinity races under his belt. Like, I would argue Tommy Joe Martins is more prepared to run.
Take care of the car.
I feel like I could trust, but there's differences there. That was a mile, that's the Coke 600 Crown Jewel, 1.5 miles, not a shorter oval. So I get maybe there's some discrepancy, but that made me raise my eyebrows. Like, I'd have to look at Tommy Joe's resume, but it seems a little surprising that he was not approved, allegedly.
Say what you want about what she's done in the trucks, but I mean, Jennifer Jo Cobb has way more stock car racing experience and wasn't approved. And it's like, where's what I think we need actual reasoning given, other than, well, they weren't approved. Okay, but why weren't they approved? Like, was it?
Yeah, Tommy Joe Martins said it was because he supposedly did not have enough success in the lower series, which I'm like, what? Success? The right thing should be experience. It's not like Tommy Joe's a wreck magnet in Xfinity.
When the hell has success been a metric to move up to the Cup Series? Do any of them remember Danica Patrick,
Quinn Houff?
Let
me look up Tommy Joe's resume. I just want to see.
I did not see. I did not see that, and now I don't know if I'm not even upset. I am shocked and appalled.
Let's see. He's run. His last full Xfinity season was 2021. He ran all 33 races. He's run 6 and 22, and apparently he made one start last year. I don't remember that, but good for him. But in the last couple of years, at least, he was not approved to run a Cup race at Charlotte, which, again, 1.5 miles, I kind of get it, but like, I would argue Tommy Joe Martins is more qualified to wheel a stock car right now than Catherine Legge is. All due respect to Catherine Legge. At an oval, at least. Road course, a different story. But
how many times have we seen people that have just driven in the truck series that can go up to Cup?
Yeah.
And just go up for a couple races. I mean, geez, I get he won a race, but it's like, if you're talking about amount of experience too, like, why does Connor Zilic get to race? I get he's good. He should be able to.
Yeah.
I'm just, my point is, like, there is no consistency whatsoever in any of this.
It's the track. I think it's the track type is what it comes down to. But I still think that's kind of vague. I don't know.
I mean,
all the way back in 2018, we saw Cole Custer barely do anything in Xfinity, and he was running a Cup race for Rick Ware, I think.
Anyway, I didn't mean to derail the conversation. I figured we'd at least mention it.
It just doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah.
By the way, lowest comment was from Noah Dunn, who said back to back to back, and then followed that up with
Oh,
there you go. We got the bell.
Nice.
Why you download that? It's not even that bad.
I know.
Maybe the bell haters are emerging.
Maybe they are. Real quick, let's talk about touch on the Xfinity race. The first one I want to talk about before we get to the finish is Austin Hill, who just made the complete video game mistake of the big bully made the video game mistake of hitting the inside wall and causing a crash that way. And I had to ask, was it Dean Thompson? I think he got sent, but they never showed what happened to send him up the track. And it just looked like he just took a hard right into the crash. He's like, I'm done.
Yeah, I think he got hit from behind, but yeah, it was a unfortunate big crash there.
I don't know why I picked Sheldon Creed. It was just like I literally had 3 options: Sheldon Creed, Alex Bowman, and Almirola. I picked the one that wasn't contending at the end.
Yeah, it was kind of brutal for us. I think everyone, including the chat, we all sort of doubted the Cup guys this weekend, and obviously that bit us in the ass.
That was Allgaier's race until the last caution.
It was, yeah.
Like I was sitting there like, God, man,
yeah,
win. I'm gonna get a win on my pick. Nope.
Yeah, it's like he sold his years of luck just to win that championship last fall. Dude cannot finish one of these races. It's not even his fault usually. I mean,
it's just Phoenix.
Yeah.
The same thing happened. Like the similar thing happened last year. Just bad luck happened.
Yeah.
The finish though. So the discourse around this finish is interesting to me because on one hand, I get people being like, yeah, it's kind of dirty or like borderline or whatever. I saw a lot of people who are just railing on Almirola, like what he did was absolutely unforgivable, the worst of the worst. He shouldn't be there. And then there's people on the other end who are like, well, it's fine. They're racing for the win and all that. I'm gonna be honest here. I really don't think it's that bad. I really don't. I really think that a lot of people out there, and maybe this is part of just the fan base on social media, has gotten soft because there's so many races that have ended like this before that we tout as some of the best finishes ever. I mean, immediately I'm thinking of Craven and Busch banging doors side by side up near the wall at Darlington for half the straightaway, but somehow this is worse.
Might be very controversial of me to say this, considering who my favorite driver is, but I'm honestly not that mad. I'm kind of with Jared on this. At the end of the day, we still have, semi-retired driver and active Cup Series driver who are bushwhacking it in the Xfinity Series and taking away from one of them Xfinity regulars to win.
I think I did admit that's part of the reason I'm probably not upset either, is like these are two basically Cup guys.
Am I disappointed that my driver didn't get the win of those two? Yeah, but I'm not mad at it because either way, they're still just bushwhacking it.
Real quick, and then Eric, I know we're kind of stepping over. Everyone's saying the 19 got loose. Yeah, he got loose, but he said he meant to get into him.
Oh yeah, he got loose because he overdrove it on purpose.
No, he literally said it in his interview. He's like, I was going to rough him up. Like, okay, maybe it was a little more contact.
He didn't do anything to be worthy of roughing up, though. That's the thing.
That's the thing. So I'm probably a little more critical of this incident than the two of you are, only because we celebrated the clean, hard but respectful racing at Coda. And Almirola, I'm not convinced was better than Bowman. Bowman, and maybe this was a strategic error, hindsight's 2020, but Bowman leaving the inside as open as he does seemed to be saying, hey, let's race to the line side by side. He didn't want to get punted out of the way entering the corner. So he said, hey, I'll give you space to operate down here. Can you beat me straight up? If we rub a little, we rub a little. And Almirola took that as, okay, I'll use all this space up and wedge you into the wall to win. And that's where I was like, oh, Bowman clearly went into that corner thinking they were going to race it one way. And Almirola said, no, I'm going to be as selfish as possible and just
gave him a chance to be fair. But
And so my thing is, obviously that's not like NASCAR doesn't penalize for stuff like that. I'm not saying that what Almirola did was like penalty worthy by NASCAR. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying is that going forward now, everyone in the Xfinity Series field should look at that and say, okay, if Almirola is in front of me for a win, I'm going to move him. Like Almirola, in my opinion, just gave everyone the green light to knock him out of the way for a win because of how he chose to race Alex Bowman right there. So I'm fine with him. You celebrate the win. You got the win. You did what you had to do, but you hopefully will be okay when you eventually suffer the consequences. That's all. Like I went into that thinking, oh, Almirola, Bowman, clean, respectful. It's going to be side by side. Good stuff. Oh, Almirola didn't think that. Everyone knows now that Almirola is not this squeaky clean, established veteran. He'll be rough when he has to be rough. Just know that going forward. That's all. So I don't hate the finish, but I expect Almirola to get roughed up next time by whoever is behind him. That's all. I just want to see an eye for an eye, I guess.
Yeah, I agree with the second part of what you said. Like, I think Almirola should get raced the same. Like you do, you give it, you gotta take it. I just think, Bowman left the bottom open. Yeah, that's Bowman's mistake then. Like,
Yeah, but if he doesn't do that, he gets knocked out of the way. It's like when
A bump and run.
it's when Hemrick not punted, that's aggressive. When Hemrick bumped Cindric and they raced back to the line, that was
and
cleaner.
nobody had a problem with
Yeah, and I would argue, but he still lost. I'm saying that would have been cleaner than what Almirola did. But in both cases, the guy leading lost. So that's what I'm saying. Like Bowman was like, okay, I don't want to get Cindric here. I'm going to try and show, hey, let's race clean. And Almirola, 40 years old, family guy. I think Bowman expected him to respect the clean wishes, and Almirola just didn't. So
I think my big point too is like, and I think that's kind of what Danny's got to, and what you kind of brought up too. I'm like, that this is what NASCAR's had for a long time. We have some drivers that are more clean, others aren't. There's a reason Eric is racing part-time in Xfinity nowadays and not in Cup either. Like, I mean, there's both ways you can swing at that one, but I'm just this like pearl clutching that our fan base has, with some drivers over others is just, it's very funny to watch to me. And on the other side of it too, they point out, yes, Family Guy was mentioned. Sorry. I saw that. I had to point it out. Yeah. At the end of the day, he's going to get raced that way at some point, as long as it's not something super egregious.
Yeah. If he gets doored for a win or bumped out of the way for a win, he better not complain. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, and Ryan brings up here, and this is perfect because we're going into the first Super Chat stage break. Tony Stewart's final win at Sonoma, where he shoved Hamlin to the wall on the hairpin turn, is a good example of a good finish where both drivers were getting into it at the end. I mean, to this day, that finish is celebrated. And I honestly think what Tony did, kind of putting him in the wall there at the very end of that corner, would be somewhat worse. But
the only difference there is Hamlin made a huge mistake to even allow Stewart there.
So did Bowman.
No, I don't think Bowman made a mistake.
He left the door open.
No, but Hamlin blew the corner. Like Hamlin straight up blew the turn,
I know
which allowed Stewart to get in there. Bowman just said, no, I'm going to strategically run the outside so I don't get bumped out of the way. Let's race clean. And he just misjudged Almirola's intent. That's the only difference I would say there. But yes, I mean, Stewart was known for roughing guys up, and people would rough him back up too sometimes. That was how he made his money.
Yeah. Well, going into the first Super Chat stage break, you guys can help keep an eye on it for me time-wise. I'm going to get it going here.
Sounds good.
Hunter Nixon Fishing with the 10 here says, NASCAR fans on Monday going to get a new set of tires. Y'all get any of them option tires? Yeah, the funny side of it where it's like, well, Goodyear can't make these tires this way because people won't buy them. I'm like, I'm not going to discount tire because I think that my tire is going to blow out after 50 miles. Like, no, if you can make a tire good enough to withstand a cup race, you're good. NASCAR racing fan 927 for the 5 says, welcome to the NASCAR Bell Series presented by Marcus and David. How will he ring the victory bell? Tune to FS1 to find out. Ring a ling a ding dong ding. Like that one.
Wow.
Alex left with the 10 here says, I just want to ask which one of Bell's mobile paint schemes do people like better, last year's or this year's? And there goes the sirens. I like this year's scheme better, even though it's mainly a swap between black and white. I swear when that siren started up, I thought it was my dog howling for a second.
I'd have to look at this year's scheme again, but I think I ranked last year's scheme as my favorite scheme of the year. So that one's going to be tough to beat. I like Reddick's mobile one scheme he ran, I think, this weekend. That one looked clean. I like that.
Yeah, that was hot. Timmy here with the 23-month member chat says, welcome back to NASCAR, Carl Edwards. We missed you. We'll talk about that in the second half of the show for sure. Garabuki here says, my buddy hates Logano, Byron, and Bell. He's also a Suarez fan. Needless to say, these have been a rough few months. Keep him in your prayers, boys.
That's rough, buddy.
That's very rough. I think I got about a minute or so left here. Justin with the 10 says, Fox is something else. Mike Joyce saying this was the closest finish in Phoenix, and I was waiting for Harvick to chime in about his 2016 finish being much closer with Edwards. Eventually, they got it. I got it right.
They figured it out eventually, yes.
I keep hearing me in the background. Does somebody have like the audio on or something?
I don't hear anything, but chat, let us know if you hear an echo.
SW here for the 2. After Martinsville, Bell is on a revenge tour. Yes,
It's
he
true.
is. Fred Dog for the 5 says, "Did you see that NHRA driver tearing a Fox up for the IndyCar ads?
Yeah.
Would any current NASCAR driver have the nuts to trash Fox's coverage? If so, who?" I feel like if you get Kyle Busch pissed enough, that dog is still in there.
Yeah, and he's got, I don't want to say he's got the least to lose, but he's so established that what are they
But
going to do?
he wouldn't
you
give
know?
me enough reason for him to just like hate Fox, I feel.
And then Andrew Winslow here, I'll read this one, then one more, says, "This week's big loser is me because I accused Herbst of the wreck Ty Gibbs caused. Oopsie. In all honesty, it's panic time for Ty." It's definitely win first time.
Yes, win now.
And then last one, West Virginia for the 10. Chat, I know we ain't picking yet, but the last 2 times we had a driver win 3 in a row, Alex Bowman won that 4th one. I see where Danny got that
Hey guys,
thing. The 4th race, and it's Vegas. Just saying in advance. Have a fun show, guys. Got to get back to work. In the West
that was
Virginia.
not the comment I was reading earlier. That was a different one.
But that is the first super chat stage break. We'll read the rest towards the end. Now it is time for the lightning round. Let's get it. All right. Let's see. Of course, the weekly, we do have a channel that you can subscribe to, NWP Clips, or at NWP Clips, where we put the full episode replays when it comes to the Thursday after any live show we do. On the other end, Sonic Automotive has filed for the trademark for the name Echo Park Speedway, which is suggesting it'll be the official sponsor name of an SMI track. Let's be honest, it's probably Texas.
God, I hate that. But
Per Adam Stern.
I hate that. Texas Motor Speedway sounds so badass. It's the only thing badass about that track right now. Don't take that from me.
Now I know how the older fans felt when I'd be a kid, and I'm like, "What? It's Lowe's Motor Speedway," and they're like, "It's Charlotte Motor Speedway."
What is Echo Park? I see them all over.
They are a car dealership chain. We even have some of their. In fact, actually, I bought my truck from an Echo Park dealership. It's a Honda dealership, but it's part of Echo Park.
Okay, because like they sponsor Coda every year, which is deep in the heart of Texas, and I ain't seen Echo Park anywhere. Yeah.
It's a car dealership chain, kind of like a Hendrick Cars.
Okay, I just haven't seen that many of them in Texas, at least. I'm sure they're around.
I guess it's because you're not just going to see it labeled as Echo Park. Like, I think
then why are they advertising it that way?
They have some, but I guess they have like a larger website though. That
Guys, it's a lightning round.
Dealerships under
it's
them.
a lightning round, not a tornado round.
I'm confused.
I'm a former car salesman discussing the dynamics of car sales, Jared.
We're talking about rebranding my home track.
Sell Eric on it during Texas week. Beefaroo is offering a Noah Gregson burger in April, a nacho burger. I am not shocked. The company will be on the car at Vegas, Homestead, Darlington, Gateway, and Kansas this fall. Also, there have been some pre-announced concerts. Texas will have Ernest, the country singer, not the guy that went to jail. And Michigan will have Nate Smith, per Bob Pockris. So for anyone who thought Ernest got out of jail and went to Texas or Echo Park, no.
If I hear Ernest, I just think of like that 90s Ernest character.
Ernest went to jail. Ernest is this. Ernest, yeah. That's immediately what I thought of. On the OEP rule, the open exemption policy or whatever the hell it's
provisional,
called.
But yes.
Provisional, same shit to me. It's been edited. When somebody has been approved, they have a guaranteed spot in the field. The field will be 41 cars. So for the Daytona 500, we'll have 41 cars.
So in other words, it's not like, hey, you have the OEP, but if you qualify in, you don't actually get to use it. No, instead, if you ask for the OEP and get it, that's what you get. No purse money, but you're going to be the 41st car regardless of qualifying. So I kind of like that. It might make a team be less quick to like want to do the OEP, because instead of being like a safety net, now it's more of like, you'd like to have the chance to qualify in organically.
Interesting part is NASCAR has now given itself the discretion to classify some races as non-OEP races. I'm assuming like the finale and stuff like that.
Yeah, maybe. But that's weird because they could just like, I don't know. I guess if Lewis Hamilton showed up and said, I want to race Phoenix in November, like
NASCAR changed the rules.
Yeah, they'd be like, well, just because of this weekend, you don't qualify for the OEP. But I'm Lewis Hamilton, mate. Sorry,
I see Australian.
Well, they say mate. Don't they say mate in the UK too?
No, I say bruv.
Bruv. Oh, I guess you're right. They do say bruv.
Well, you know what, bruv? Next week we'll be on Danny's channel, which should be a lot of fun. March 19th. And I guess we'll say it right now. I believe Danny is one of our 2 guests for sure coming on.
Yeah, it's my understanding there'll be some news come out next week. If you're a Joe Gibbs Racing fan and you want to know more about that, be on the lookout. So our good buddy from Joe Gibbs Racing, the partnership director, is going to join us briefly, but there's going to be some cool updates to talk about with him. So can't say what that is now. I know, but y'all find out next week.
Well, and Jet will also be on with us next week, and we promise everything Mike-wise will be all good. I talked to him about it already. We're all good, but Jet will be coming on, helping us preview Homestead. So that is the lightning round. And by the way, for anyone who was wondering, down on the bottom, those are the fantasy league standings when it comes to NWP. So if your name's on there in the top 20, or you're like me and Danny and we get a provisional to be on the list, but not in the top 20, we're good. And you'll be on there. But now let's get on into the headlines. And honestly, we they're not the biggest headlines ever. We could probably actually get through them pretty quick. First
lightning round extended.
This one's more like, if you ever seen War of the Worlds where the lightning just strikes the same place over and over again, like this is what this one will be, where it's just this is the extended one. But Prime has announced their broadcast team for this year and beyond, and we got some pretty big names on it. Of course, the booth has already been announced. It's AA, Adam Alexander, for those that want to know, Steve Letarte, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. In the pits, we have Kim Kuhn, Marty Snyder, and Trevor Bain. And in the studio or pre-race show, wherever, if it's at the track or in the NASCAR studios, Danielle Trotta, Corey LaJoie, and Carl Edwards. He's back, sort of.
Somewhat permanently. He's going to actually be in the garage on the road week after week. I mean, it's only, at least as of now, confirmed for 5 weeks, but 5 more weeks than we've seen him in previous years.
Well, I gotta say, the big takeaway I have from this is it is youth and enthusiasm. Like, youth and enthusiasm seems to be what this crew is. I mean, the oldest person there is Marty Snyder, and NASCAR broadcasting terms, he is not old at all.
He's still very sharp.
And he has a son who stays very much, at least somewhat, informed of the online culture of NASCAR. I'm sure he is feeding his dad information about more than you know.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think it's a good group. I think it'll be interesting to see that pre and post race show. I think Daniel Trotta is very good in that host slot. Corey LaJoie and Carl Edwards are kind of new to that role, their respective roles. I mean, both are, especially LaJoie is very comfortable on camera in front of a microphone. He's been, doing his own podcast for years now, but like a TV studio type show will be interesting to see how that dynamic works.
Carl, you're back.
I love that comment. I think it's great. I think it's great that Carl's back. It's clear. I talked about on my show this week, but that 2023 throwback weekend at Darlington, where they brought a bunch of the 75 greatest drivers out, Carl emerged. And I remember him talking after that race, and other people talking about Carl after that race made it sound like he really enjoyed himself, was surprised by the enthusiasm, enjoyed having a thing to do at the track. Cause that's something that some retired drivers have discussed, is you go back to the track and you've been away for 5 years. You're not affiliated with a team or an OEM or and you're not really sure where to go. You're kind of just a fan at that point, wandering through the garage. And it's a little awkward, but with the way they handled the 75th anniversary, I think that really rejuvenated Carl Edwards in some way. And they noticed in the last 2 years since then, he's made frequent appearances, I would argue. So it sounds like this was in the works for a while. It sounds like for years, in fact, TV has been trying to get Carl to come do something. Prime Video ultimately wins out. I bet because it's a shorter term commitment, 5 races. I don't know if he'll do anything for TNT after that, but it's 5-10 max. not a huge commitment. I think it's good. I think it's a good opportunity for fans to see, one of their favorite personalities on camera each week. I think he'll be good.
I'm laughing at this comment from Danny Alex. He said we need a Carl Edwards throwback for Daniel Suarez. He already did that his rookie season and his Xfinity Championship year.
I love the people who don't get. I love the people who don't get the coral meme. You can tell who was not in internet culture in the mid 2010s. Coral, it's Rick. Coral. But I'm really excited about the crew overall. The only one that I actually have a real question about is Trevor Bayne, just because I don't know how he is in the pits. But outside of Bayne, and I still think he'll be fine. Dude has been behind the mic plenty. He's been up in the booth before. I like the booth. They're pretty good. Kim Kuhn, I think Kim Kuhn is arguably one of the best pit reporters out there. She's right up there, I think, with Jamie Little, Sims, that Marty Snyder, that level.
Yeah, she's good.
What I like about her is she actually digs into and asks more questions rather than what do you think out there? And a guy will say something like, that dude's a dumbass and blah, 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 blah. And they'll be like, well, it sounds like you're, most reporters be like, sounds like you're kind of emotional out there. And she'll basically in some variation be like, well, how were they a dumbass?
Yeah, she knows her stuff and is not afraid to dig a little. You're right. No, she's great. I think the whole lineup's good. I think Trevor Bayne will be fine. I think they'll lean on the veterans. I think LaJoy could be good if he brings some of that edge that he still sort of brings to the podcast. Some people love it, some people hate it. It'll be interesting to see if he brings that to the show. That's why I just wonder what the dynamic will be between LaJoy and Edwards. I think it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. What'd y'all think of Edwards reportedly declining Larson's offer to drive his car at North Wilkesboro? I was like, dang, I was kind of disappointed. I wanted to see him make some laps.
When I was working out earlier before the show tonight, I actually did put on double speed the Dale Jr. download just so that I could listen and hear everything.
I haven't listened to that yet. Did he ask him about it?
So he did, and Edwards was very adamant, and Junior basically kind of held his feet to the fire and was like, dude, you need to know how these cars drive, because Junior's drove them before, LaJoy's drove them.
Yeah.
I wouldn't shut the door on it based on their interaction. I would, because when I watched their interaction, and you could see Edwards' brain start moving a little bit about it, and then he's like, well, I don't want to be sucked back in if I'm good, and if I'm bad, I don't want to be embarrassed, and Junior's like, dude, you'll be halfway through it, and you'll realize, yep, this is why I walked away. You'll be fine. And he's like, oh, okay.
I'm not trying to be that guy, but we go back to that conversation of why would NASCAR approve someone without so much experience? And
fair enough.
Here's the thing. Yeah. Here's the thing. The Camry, what he last drove, has now been redesigned 2 times since he last drove a car.
That's true. Yeah. Honestly, I don't know if Carl Edwards should be approved to run anything in NASCAR at this rate. But what I was going to say was,
should be in the car at some point.
If he has the opportunity, I would love it because I do think it would improve his TV intel. Although the three of us have never driven a next gen car, and yet we have we do this show every single week.
YouTubers.
So I mean, you can do your homework, you can do your research in other ways.
You get.
The only defense I'll give Carl is that Dale Jr. Yes, he's driven the next gen in a private test closed off from the media, whereas Carl would be driving the next gen with Cliff Daniels in his ear on, I guess it'd be Prime Video or FS1 in front of hundreds of thousands of people, where if he makes a mistake, there will be HD cameras there to document it. I at least could understand being apprehensive, knowing the attention that would be on this practice session as opposed to a private test.
Can we just get that old segment that Wally Dallenbach used to do back in the day? Can we just get someone out there driving a car, show me a little bit? Carl Edwards, get in there, show me around the track.
That's what they should do,
man.
They should put him in the NBC cutaway, not the cutaway, the NBC car. And just car, yeah. He's out there pedaling. Yeah.
They have a song
don't crash, Carl.
They have a song for it. Carl's Corner. Instead of
they should do that. They should get him out there at least by himself on his own, make some laps. They should do that, but I don't know if they will.
Yeah, I hope so, man. I hope so. On the other end of it, we talked about some positive stuff. Now let's even out the pendulum here. Guys, want to talk about the updates, and when I say updates, no updates for Auto Club Speedway.
I've given up on Auto Club, really, personally.
So they keep like basically they had what's his name? Was it Dave something? Thought I had
Dave Allen.
Dave Allen.
Dave Allen,
Dave
yeah.
Allen. I had Dave Allen talking about. I have it written down here. I don't know why I can't read. They had Dave Allen talking to the LA Times, and he is basically like giving the best. It's still an option. It's the first option that we'd want to build. But hey, if someone has 300 acres and wants to partner with us, we'll totally build with you. And it's like, okay, all right. Like we kind of see where this is going. Plus, I don't know if you guys have seen the updated drone footage, but that area, there is no space for parking, for
Yeah, it's
amenities, for
just
anything.
it's like if you've ever been to Nashville Super Speedway, it is a racetrack in the middle of Amazon and other factories out there. No, this is now Amazon and other factories want in that space right now. They want your parking lot. They want every square inch of that property now.
Yeah, the drone footage, satellite footage, it's cramped. It would be very tough to build something there, but I just think NASCAR's in a tough spot because Los Angeles is a huge media market. It's very competitive. It's difficult to break into, but more than anything, it's expensive. And I don't think NASCAR feels assured that, ticket sales, buzz, hype is going to be worth the cost of doing business, whether that is renovating the current auto club and sinking money into that, or if that's trying to build a track elsewhere or even a temporary street circuit. I mean, they've talked about in the past, there's been rumors about Long Beach. More recently, there have been rumors that I know it's a couple hours south, but San Diego street race. I think those would be awesome. I guess my hope for the Southern California market now, and I'm lumping San Diego into Southern California. I don't know if that counts. I just hope I hope NASCAR stays in the region, but I've come to terms with the fact that it likely won't be Fontana and it may not be every year. Like, what if they do a San Diego street race every other year? Maybe they alternate between San Diego and Mexico City or Montreal or something.
So is this roughly the cost here? 30 mil for a street race, roughly?
Didn't Chicago cost 50?
So let's say 30 to 50 mil, right?
Yeah.
That's what it costs. Do you guys remember how much money the land of Auto Club Speedway sold for?
Like almost 600 million.
569, not so nice for us race fans, million.
Yeah.
So I want to do a little, let's just go on the 50 range of it. Like this is 11, close to 12 street races worth of money NASCAR got from selling that off. And there's a few things I think on the NASCAR front. Like I think they probably are keeping the door open, even though it is cracked open at this point. I don't think some investor is going to come in and kick that door down. But on my end of it, the lawsuit that NASCAR is in, to me, kind of plays a role in this because if you think about it, like NASCAR is being sued for being a monopoly, right? At least in part. And part of it is their dealings with the tracks owning ISC. Why would they sink a bunch of money into something if
They're
they
forced
lose
to sell
that
it
badly? Yeah, if they're forced to
Yeah,
sell
good
or
point.
break it up, like there's no reason for them to give an update. So I don't think until 2026 we're gonna hear anything. I think, listen, this is from somebody who thought that the short track was a great idea. Like I actually really
Yeah.
like the idea. We need more
Same.
short tracks, and it just pisses me off now because now we sacrificed what was one of the best intermediates out there, worn out. We sacrificed that for a lot of money for them, but for the fans, especially in that area, they lose out.
Yeah,
Big
fans
time.
don't care about what NASCAR's budget is. We care about good races and in good markets. And I'll say this about Fontana. I went one year when I was briefly living in Los Angeles. I lived up near Burbank and I drove to Auto Club Speedway in 2020 pre-pandemic, and it's out there. I mean, the Inland Empire, Southern California, LA, it's sprawling, it's widespread. There's little towns, cities, pockets everywhere. There's people everywhere. There's plenty of people near Fontana, but it's out there. It's an hour outside of the city. Like we're talking about Chicagoland. It's further than Chicagoland is to Chicago. So that's, I think, part of the problem too, is if you're going to sink all that money into that land to buy a new short track or to build a new short track, it's like, is it worth it when you're an hour outside of LA? You could barely fill the stands at the Coliseum and you're 5 minutes from LA. Like that's where I think they're like, we have a lot of fans in LA, but there's so much competition. It just may not make sense to sink that much money.
Yeah.
And your point, Jared, about the lawsuit, waiting for that to kind of take its final form, I think is also very valid. That's why we probably won't hear anything definite until at least next year.
famous last words of Auto Club Speedway, I feel, was last year, and I verified this to make sure. I think it was Bob Pockris reported this. Steve Phelps said on the schedule last year, he thinks that there could be NASCAR races north of the border, not this year, south of the border, and in Southern California next year. Well, he got one of those south of the border.
He's batting 1 for 3, which is actually a good baseball batting average, but not a good free throw percentage if we're making stick and ball comparisons.
Yeah, and I just the thing that sucks is that if they repaved that whole track, and tried to keep it going there, that unless they had some different compound, and unless this car is really great on a freshly repaved 2-mile circuit, which is really asking a lot even for the best race cars, this was probably going to be a dud of a race for 5 to 10 years, just like it was when it was first made. Like, people forget, this track was not consistently good until like late COT into Gen 6 era, and had been around since the 90s. Like, maybe they can find ways to mitigate that. There were some good races in that time before then, obviously, but for the longest time, this track was hated before about 2011. Like, and that NASCAR would be in a hard spot there. It just sucks that we've lost what was a great track. Could have had an option, maybe a short track. Once Goodyear has finally figured out how to make the short track package really good,
It's a
and
bummer.
we're not getting it. I mean,
It's just a bummer because it is still, I mean, it's the second biggest market in America. And so you'd like to have a racetrack somewhere in that region. And it just doesn't seem to make sense right now. It's a shame.
booming real estate market. Well, you know what else is booming right now? Our predictions. Maybe not
Are they?
booming. Yeah. Mine are.
All right.
Let's go on into our predictions segment. So, of course, the rules for this segment. Let's get rid of some of these things so that people can actually see the rules. Each host will make 2 NASCAR motorsports show related predictions. They can include stuff about the host, whatever. We'll figure it out. Maybe it has something to do this week with the predictions segment when it comes to the poll, since we now have data for it. Predictions are kept track each week in our accountability sessions, and we'll try and keep them relatively concise. It's kind of booming for me. I said the Phoenix would score 55% or higher net positivity in my poll, and it did. Yay.
I should have just taken the layup.
Let's be real.
I'm not saying that was a
week.
layup. Yeah, I'm not saying that was a layup. I'm saying, but like, I went a step further and I shouldn't have. I should have just kept it where you were.
Because Eric said the 2025 Phoenix spring race would be the most positively voted Phoenix race ever for the Jeff Gluck poll. I didn't check if it was a 2021 or 2020 race, but both of those races. Really?
I think so, yeah.
That race was not anything special. Was the racing so bad with the 550 package we thought it was good?
I don't know. I think, was that the first one they put 750 under the hood and they said, hey, all right.
I think it might have been.
I don't know, but yeah, it was the best. All I know is this was the best Phoenix race in like 4 years. So I was close.
You also said there would be record of Josh Bilicki and Chris Wright making contact during the Xfinity race.
I texted y'all because for a good probably like 30 laps, they were there on the leaderboard, but they wouldn't put a freaking camera on him. I was like, please, I just got to see just a small bump. That's all I need.
That's all. But we did not get that. If somebody updates us that they did and it's on social media, we will change this. And then Danny said all 3 Penske drivers would finish in the top 10 at Phoenix.
Were close at a lot of points in the race.
Yep. And then my guy completely shut the door on it. My pick to win, Ryan Blaney, blows up. So I'm at a clean 50%. Eric's at 3.333333. There you go. We can have Cito clip that again for us.
There you go, Cito. Have fun.
And then Danny with 21.05 all time. I'm still up 43.39. Eric at a clean 32 and Danny at 29.45. Oh, I wrote down all my predictions like last Thursday just so I could have them in advance and didn't look at them. So I don't know which ones I'm going to choose from. But let's see. I'm going to put this one. Lane Riggs makes the Final 4 in trucks. I know he's had a rough start to this season. I know that the trucks are weird like that, and I don't think he's going to have a million playoff points to play with, but I think he makes the Final 4 in trucks.
I like that. I like that pick. My picks are kind of lame, or my predictions are kind of lame. I'm just going to be honest. My first one, this guy's getting a lot of praise this week, deservedly so. I'm going to hit Christopher Bell fans with a splash of reality. keep this in mind. He has the best average finish and the most wins of anyone in Cup right now and is 13 points behind William Byron for the regular season championship. My prediction is that the good runs are going to die out eventually, and Christopher Bell will not win the regular season title. That might sound like a layup, but the way people are talking about Bell this week, I think it's fair. I need a point. I need a point later in the year.
Proceed to go on an epic run of just like 10 race wins.
I hope. Well, I mean, it'd be kind of fun if he did, but also I hope not.
For me, this is weather related. Weather is big this weekend. Like there is some insane storms predicted for the southeast this weekend, Friday night, Saturday, and me and my wife, we get to work a catering event in a venue that is literally the prep area is basically outside. You're underneath a covered area and there's nothing but like open air right in front of you. So we're going to have like rain coming in on us all night, basically. Anyways, regardless, I don't think rain's going to bother us this weekend in Vegas per se, but I'm going to say counting Daytona, which was impacted, a total of 7 Cup races this year will be impacted by rain, whether that's delayed, rescheduled, or shortened. And I'm going to make that a solid 7.
Got that down. So no more than 7, just 7.
No less, no more. We're riding with 7 on that one.
I like it. Lucky 7, or unlucky for the rest of us. I'm going to say this one for this weekend. The Cup finish will be within a quarter second or closer. So it can be a quarter second. It can be closer. If it's 0.251 seconds or more, I don't get it. Layup? Oh, are we talking layup for me or layup for Dan? I don't think this is a layup.
That ain't no layup.
No, that's not a layup.
I don't think either of these are a layup.
I'm probably going to get wrong on that one.
And I don't think mine's a layup either. I think Ty Gibbs finishes top 10 this weekend.
Hang the banner.
He needs something. Small wins.
Danny,
someone asked if road courses count. Unless that delays the race, then if it doesn't delay the race, then no. It's just got to be delayed, rescheduled, or shortened is what I've done.
Delayed, rescheduled, shortened. Okay. I mean, they'd have to throw a caution for it to change the rain tires. I mean, I'm just thinking of ways.
I'm not counting that though. I'm counting delayed, shortened.
Red flag.
That's what I have.
Okay.
Written down,
okay.
So.
All right.
I'll clarify that when we write in our predictions later.
Awesome.
And I made mine, which was Ty Gibbs top 10. Would be his first in like 10 years or something. No, I'm kidding, but it'd be his first in a while.
Long time. Now we're back to Danny. Danny with the half court shot.
Yeah. Justin Haley will not get a top 10 in the truck race this weekend.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, I saw this. It was funny. All I've seen, so this thing, I don't follow women's basketball, but I've seen Angel Reese, and all I see her for is getting rebounds off of her own missed layups, and it's just a funny as hell compilation to me. I saw it today, and it was like
that padding.
Oh my god! Yeah, I saw one
like
person
Russell
like,
Westbrook back.
Look at this record of rebounds, and then I like saw the compilation of the rebounds, and I'm like, most of these are just missed layups. Like this is like me when I played basketball in 4th grade. I'd never played basketball before. I stubbed my finger multiple times, but I kept getting my own layups because I was half a head taller than everybody.
Maybe she has like an incentive in her, like a rebounding incentive in her contract. Must average 10 rebounds per game.
Hey, if those compilations or anything, she did not have a make your layups incentive. That's for sure. But that's will be some fun predictions to look at. And you know what else is going to be fun to look at least for me? The chat, because we're going to have a random driver of the week. And I got
boy.
All right, so let me know, guys, when the chat is hidden on your end. I saw before the stream. I saw before the stream they were predicting beforehand, and they were all predicting drivers we'd already done before. So,
well, I need a bounce back. I think Danny's on a 2 or 3 week win streak. I need a big bounce back.
I think it's like 3. I'm on a Bell streak here.
Yeah. So Danny is leading now 18-16 over Eric.
Oh, come on.
So
it was lucky number 17.
It was tied at 15 coming into the year. So then the last 5, Eric did get Timothy Peters correct, but
pull that out of my butt.
Danny has 4 of the last 5. Before the Peters one, he had Johnny Beauchamp, and now he's 3 in a row with Mike Harmon, Tim Fedowa, and Casey Mears.
Okay, we're locked in this week, folks.
All right, let's get it. And no, it is not Marty Robbins. We've already done Marty Robbins. Big Iron. This random driver was born in Miami, Florida.
John Ramos at the hand?
That was a guess.
No, it's not.
No, it wasn't. This random driver also lived in Wisconsin after graduating high school. Hanging out.
So they
Wow,
can tell you about good cheese and Mexican cuisine.
What a culture shock to go from
Oh, yeah.
Miami to Wisconsin.
This random driver worked in the racing department for Mercury.
Okay.
Didn't say what series.
That's old school right there, then.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say what series either. This random
It could be
driver.
boats. It could be boats then.
Actually, I do think that this driver did have something to do with boat racing at one point. This random driver owned a team that competed in Cup, Xfinity, Trucks, and ARCA.
Did you say that? I'm sorry. Did you say they owned a team?
Owned a team that
competed in all 4?
All 4.
Dang.
This random driver also raced in NASCAR, IndyCar, Trans Am, and Can-Am racing.
Jeez.
NASCAR,
Diversified.
IndyCar, and Can-Am.
And Trans Am.
And Trans Am.
This random driver has 3 career ARCA West wins.
Okay.
Okay. How about that?
And 2 Xfinity Series wins.
Okay, so they're halfway decent.
This random driver finished 25th and 32nd in their 2 Indy 500 attempts with Team Penske.
Oh,
Oh, they got a race for Penske. Wow. Okay.
this person's well connected.
This random driver's best USAC finish was 6th at Ontario.
And USAC? This is crazy. It's just
They owned a team in all 4.
yeah, that's
series.
man, I have no idea.
This random driver also did race much of their career in NASCAR with lower budgets.
Has the chat gotten it yet?
Kinda. Some have. Some are all over the
What does
place.
that mean?
Okay.
Some have it, some don't. This random driver also won 4 IROC races as my voice cracks.
So they were good enough for IROC. That says something.
They're like low budget NASCAR, but they raced the Indy 500
races.
1 Xfinity races and were in IROC. So they must have been a champion in something else.
Yeah.
This random driver won an IROC championship.
Oh, I wish I knew more about that series. Ray Everham would be very disappointed in me.
But they owned a team in all 4 series.
This random driver scored 4 of the 5 NASCAR wins for the Matador.
Feels like for people who know, that's got to be a huge hint.
Yeah.
Spoiler, I do not know.
This random driver once raced under the alias of Bob Sonderman.
Bob who?
Sonderman.
Huh.
So that probably means their real name isn't Bob, because that would be like kind of a bad alias.
Yeah.
Some of the teams or team owners this random driver raced for were the likes of Junior Johnson, Dygard, Smokey Unick, Bud Moore, and Penske.
Oh.
I realized I wrote the same fact twice for 16 and 17, so that's dumbass of the day move on me.
It's okay. We wouldn't have known unless you said something, but we appreciate your accountability.
I'll say it now. This random driver was inducted into the Motorsports Hall of Fame.
Rightfully so for what it sounds like they did outside of NASCAR.
Has the chat gotten it, I assume?
They're going back and forth on it. Like,
I think
there's
the
some
part
who
that
are adamant.
the part that's throwing me off is like why you did all this driving for other people and including Penske, but why did you own a team in all 4 series? That's the part that's throwing me off the most.
So that's fun. The chat, some of the chat's going like back and forth, and I love the discourse.
Wow.
This random driver drove for these manufacturers: Chevrolets, Fords, Mercuries, Dodges, Plymouths, AMCs, Pontiacs, and also a few times in Porsches and McLarens.
That was in NASCAR?
I didn't say
Probably
it was NASCAR.
something
It's
else.
just in general.
It's like AMC, the movie theater?
No, the TV channel.
Oh.
You ready for writing down numbers?
Oh God, no, but that's okay. I need to write these numbers down because that's what's like
I
gotten it
always
for
have a
Danny.
pen ready.
Damn it, I don't actually have. I'll just write them. Let me open my notes app. Okay.
Oh, this is great. All right. This random driver raced these numbers: 2, 6, 7, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16,
God.
22, 23, 24, 25, 25, 28, 29, 33, 37, 40, 49, 85, 88, 07, and 09.
Jesus goodness.
That's the numbers. This random driver won the Daytona 500 in his final Cup season.
Oh man, that should be a
Oh.
giveaway, but I don't know. I have no idea who it is.
This random driver once actively ran promotions for rail safety.
Rail safety. Ooh, right up my alley. But I don't know.
This is rigged. This is rigged.
This random driver had their first Cup start at Bowman Gray Stadium. This random driver was inducted into the NASCAR Hall of Fame in 2011.
Oh.
That was what, the second year?
Yeah.
This random driver's been on Eric's channel.
Bobby Allison.
And the answer is...
Was that on my channel or was that on Jarrett's? Yo, wait, that's right. That means I'm
I
right.
was starting to think Bobby Allison with the Daytona 500, but I was like,
Yeah,
this
that-
confused on some other things.
Well, I was thinking of the teams he raced for, and I was like, okay, this is like a legend. And then the 2011 Hall of Fame. That's when I was like, it probably was like a Bobby Allison type.
He really owned one in all the series. I don't remember that.
He raced. Yeah, he had a team that raced in all of them at different points.
Yeah,
Part time.
I did not know that.
There was literally one clue left, and it was this random driver made an appearance on NWP.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is a lot of people that are new to the show don't know that we had Bobby Allison on in 2018.
He was our very first guest.
I did not know he was from Miami originally. That's a fact that I would have never guessed. That threw me off for a bit.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah, wow. All right, I'll take it I'll win by default, but we're back on the board.
That means that Christopher Bell won't win.
If that's the case, every time Danny wins random driver, Christopher Bell wins. Like next time you win, Danny, if he doesn't win this week and then he wins when you win, I'm gonna start putting money on him at that point because like we have it. We have the juice. Let's get on into Las Vegas weekend. Big note of the weekend. God himself is the Grand Marshal. Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, cool.
Morgan Freeman. Looking at some of these races, the truck race is the EcoSave 200, 134 laps, a 30-30 74 lap breakdown for the stages starting at 9 p.m. Eastern time. Damn.
West Coast.
On FS1 and the Fox Sports app and the NASCAR Racing Network radio side of it, as well as Sirius XM. The forecast going to be a little chilly for that night at the moment. National Weather Service says no chance of rain, partly cloudy, 50 degrees, with the defending winner being Raja Karuth. The Laguna That's just it. The Laguna is the name of the Xfinity race. 200 laps, 45, 45, 110, 4:30 p.m. Eastern time on the CW and PRN. 66, mostly sunny, 2% chance of rain. John Hunter Nemechek, the defending winner. He will not win this one because he's not in the race. And then the Pennzoil 400 on, thank you, Hunter Nixon. We will read those in a moment, I promise. Wow. The Pennzoil 400, the cup race, 267 laps, and it's 80, 85, 102 laps for the 3:30 p.m. Eastern time start time on FS1, the Fox Sports app. PRN and Sirius XM have the call on the radio. 70 degrees Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, and a 1% chance of rain. Guys, are you ready for the pick points?
They're quite topsy-turvy this week.
Yes, they are. Chat.
Oh,
72. They have went from the very bottom of the list to now the top over the course of the season. Eric, 4 points back after this week. Danny, -6. And I am the basement boy this week. 10 points.
Still
off.
blanket. We all fit inside of it right now.
Oh, yes, we do. And let's start it off with our picks for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race, the EcoSave 200. And I'm going to start off on a pretty easy note because this guy just leads tons of laps at 1.5 tracks. It's Heim time, Corey Heim. I'm got him for the win.
Good pick, good pick. I am going with Ty Majeski.
That's a very good pick as well.
dang, so I'm torn. I want to go with Rajah. He was so good here last year, but we just haven't really seen that kind of speed since. It's not a short track, but I like Jarrett's championship 4-pick earlier. Give me Lane Riggs.
I mean, I was there at I think we were both there at Kansas.
Kansas, he was very competitive.
I had debated on this person, and I didn't add it in my list, but they're going to the 38, it looks like.
That's Chandler, right?
Yep.
Chandler's in the 38, right?
Lane is the 34. Chandler's
34,
38.
yeah.
Throws me off, man.
Do they know that, or did the chat think they were picking Lane Riggs?
I think they know it. A lot of people
One
are still
person-
saying Chandler Smith.
Yeah, but one person went, wait, isn't the 38 Chandler? Yeah, okay.
Well, looks like they got their picks set in. So now it leads us to our picks for the NASCAR Xfinity Series race, the Laguna. Not the Laguna 200, 250, or 300, just the Laguna. And I think this is redemption week for Justin Allgaier. He was just one caution away from easily scooting on to a victory in the Xfinity race. I think he's going to win this one. He's been solid at these 1.5 miles.
Well, you definitely took the chat's pick already. I saw a lot of 7s going crazy real fast. Man, I got to choose between 2 bullies I wrote down here. I'm going to go with the big bully, though. I'm going to go with Austin Hill on this one, actually.
Who's the little bully?
The winner from last week, Eric Almirola.
My pick for this week is Eric Almirola. I don't think this is the week guys rough him up. I think they'll save that for later.
And now the chat is, I think they're going, this is awesome. I got to pin this comment. Where'd it go?
Regrouping.
Where'd it go? Oh, no, I lost it. There was a comment I saw. It said Zillbillies United, and I love that.
Jesse Love is getting a lot of love. Ironic. But I think they're mainly going to Village.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Hey, if Kansas said anything last year about how he'll be on 1.5 miles, that will be a pretty good and fast pick. All right, let's go to the Cup Series. Who's going to suck this week? I'm going to go Stenhouse.
I'm going to go Michael McDowell. No supremacy this weekend.
Yeah.
I was actually leaning towards McDowell as well. I was just disappointed with how McDowell and Haley ran before their incidents last week. And I know it's a different track, but yeah, I'm also going to say McDowell.
And I know there's a lot of them going all over the place, but they're picking Ty Gibbs.
That's fair. That's
All right.
fair.
All right, dark horse picks. I'm going to go with the hometown guy. I think he'll have a solid top 10 run. Pretty good speed before here. Noah Gragson.
I'm also going with a hometown boy, Riley Herbst.
Oh man, I like both of those picks. Shoot, I need to pivot.
Pivot.
I was gonna actually say Riley Herbst because he was 17th to start the year, and I think this is he obviously was so good here in the Xfinity car a couple of years back. Shoot, I don't know who to pick now. Chat,
We
any
can
good
pick the
ideas?
same one. You don't have to be different for this.
Yeah, I guess that's right. I'll go Herbst because he was so good here in an Xfinity car not that long ago.
And I think they're going Kyle Busch. So are we going to full on dark horses and underdog picks or Vegas guys?
Yep.
Oh, wow. I guess
Hot
so.
diggity dog.
How about that?
I like
That
it.
means none of us think that a local will win.
Yeah, no. But that leads us right into our cup pick. Who is going to win the Pennzoil 400 at Las Vegas? This is going to be a really fun one for me because this is like the first one that I think we can actually use more data because it's the most similar race of the year to the year before that's not a super speedway. I'm going to go Kyle Larson. I don't think Bell gets 4 in a row.
Okay.
I don't
Valid.
think Kyle, I don't think Christopher Bell gets 4 in a row. I don't think Kyle Larson wins either. Got 3 names available here, but I'm actually gonna go with this one standing out to me the most. Stood out to me the most when I was looking. He flipped last time he was here. I'm gonna go Tyler Reddick though to win this one.
I believe he scored the most points on mile and a halfs last year or something like that. Or it was like it was like in a certain amount of time I saw on X that he had scored the most points on mile and a halfs in a long span of time. So
I'm shocked right now. I mean, both your picks, very good picks. I was expecting to end up with one of those two that you just named, but y'all left Christopher Bell on the board. I would be foolish not to take him. When you look at statistically the best qualifiers and the best finishers at intermediate tracks last year, it's everyone we've named so far. But who has the most momentum coming into this race? It's none other than Christopher Bell. Nobody is riding higher than C Bell right now, so I am comfortable picking Bell to win Vegas.
And
Flying
you
high
obviously
again.
took what the chat wanted. They wanted a 20. Now they're trying to pivot. I'm seeing 24, 1, and 48.
Oh, it's 24.
I think it's Byron.
Okay, now more
Byron's
24s are coming in. Yes,
he's probably the best alternate pick. He's probably the 4th guy, but maybe I mean he's leading the points. Maybe he's the top guy.
I also had Byron and Logano as options for me.
I will say there's a handful of 48s. Do we want to put up a poll? No? Okay. I tried.
I
saw a 1 more and I saw a 48.
Yeah, I think it's Byron. I think
it
they're
is
getting
Byron.
big Bill Byron.
Billiam.
Imagine that's how the season goes. We have a sandwich of Byron and Bell, like Byron, Bell, Byron.
I'm gonna be honest. This could easily be the final 4 that we just picked. Larson,
I think so
Reddick,
too.
Bell, Byron. Like those are the 4 horsemen of the next gen era.
Yep, I'm with you there.
And the 4 horsemen of the next gen era until you get to Phoenix. And then
you gotta throw Blaney in there and Logano.
Yeah. All right. So those are
good stuff.
I think all 4 or all 3 series, I should say, are gonna be really fun. Maybe we'll get a 4th one eventually. Let's get to the final super chat stage break. I see some more rolling in. We do need a sounder for that, and not the Taco Bell one.
Not the ESPN one either. I just keep doing it because it's memorable.
I feel like we'll get copyrighted on that one.
Yeah.
All righty. Let's look. I think the next one up is Justin Drake here, who says, Ty has always driven the best equipment out there, venturing in motorsports in ARCA, Skip Trucks, Joe Gibbs Racing, and Xfinity, now Cup. He's never had the adversity of battling in the not the best car.
That's true until now. And I think that's part of what he's dealing with for sure.
Garrett Buki here for the 5 says, I love how Ty Dillon had probably his only shot at a legit top 5 this season. And in typical Ty Dillon fashion, ran out of talent and blew it.
It wasn't even a talent issue, just a focus, just mistake. It's kind of a bummer.
Austin Vlansett here with the 5 says, Mike Joy has maybe 3 years left. Best case scenario. Who's Fox going to replace him? Adam Alexander's gone. Bestwick isn't interested. Diffie is on NBC. You know, there's a guy who's been on PA the last couple weeks that would be decent enough, at least as a holdover, until you have someone like, you know, Eric Brennan or Ramus come on up.
Yeah, Eric Brennan sounded pretty good in the ARCA race.
He's awesome.
So, I mean, there could be some good options coming down the pipeline. But is there anyone ready right now besides like a Rick Allen type? Probably not. But
we're just going to develop AI enough to just build the Mike Joy bot 5000 and just put him up there.
Sorry, I had to put it up.
Brutal.
The Buddy Entertainment Channel says, I sense this season may end up being a Byron versus Bell battle as Byron's #1 fan, I'm here for it.
Is
I
this
feel like
the
this.
big two?
Hey, I'm gonna say this. I mean, so far this year, they
Killer
won all the
bees.
races. I'll say this. I do think there's a lot of Byron fans in our chat that would like to argue that they're the biggest Big Bill Byron fan.
Let's get Alex Bowman back to contention. We could have the triple Bs this year.
Kyle Busch,
3
Alex
Bs,
Bowman.
4 Bs. Austin with another 5 here says this week makes it 5 years since the pandemic lockdown. Looking back on it now, what's the craziest thing for each of you to go back and look at now? Ooh, that's a good one. I already know mine. You guys go.
Oh, I don't know. Craziest thing about COVID lockdowns. Oh man. I mean, I was in Los Angeles at the time doing my last semester of college, and I just remember showing up for classes that night, and all anyone in my film related classroom wanted to talk about was Tom Hanks got COVID. And that was like the national headline. And this is going to sound silly, but when that happened, I was like, oh shit, this is real. And I think within hours, the NBA shut down and all these other things. But it was like, for some reason, I just remember Tom Hanks was the linchpin. And thankfully he was okay.
We were live when the NBA shut down because I had it on the TV behind the computer in my grandpa's garage. And I was like, holy crap, guys, the NBA just shut down.
Yeah. Anyway, I was on a plane back to Texas shortly thereafter. And we hunkered down from there.
Jarrett, you were going to Atlanta that weekend, weren't you?
Yeah, I remember because I was staying with Joey Stone that weekend, and he calls me. He goes, "Hey, man," and I'm like, "What's up? Like, what? Why are you so down?" I'm like, "I'm already into Georgia." And he just goes, "Dude, you might want to turn around." I'm like, "Why?" He goes, "They shut it down." I'm like, "Are you bleep 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 stuff that's not safe for the internet? Bleep 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 again."
Put the bug on the screen.
Oh, I was so mad.
And you drove from Illinois too, not even from Nashville. Like it was double the drive almost.
I had just gotten through Chattanooga, which if you've driven through Chattanooga in the middle of an afternoon, it is not fun.
It has like traffic that I cannot explain that makes zero sense for Chattanooga.
It's like a mini Atlanta.
Yeah, it makes like Chattanooga's a good sized city, but it's not even near like Nashville, but it has worse traffic than Nashville.
Yeah, it's bad. Oh man.
The craziest thing I think for me was what I did for work that year. Like that, I think Eric, you were part of it. When NASCAR finally came back for Darlington, they asked a bunch of people to be a part of 1,000 cameras or whatever it was.
Oh yeah.
And I ended up like filming part of what I was doing. I was literally I was shopping for groceries for people with Instacart and delivering it because that was all I could do. I'd quit car sales that year, and it was before I got into my current career now. And I was just kind of, a year of just doing deliveries because no one did anything. Things were much cheaper, so you didn't have to make a ton of money, and that was the kind of something that made decent money that year. So you did what you had to do that year.
I think the craziest thing for me is I met the eventual mother of my child. So that ended up being pretty good. I literally was on the floor at Joey's, like, on that Hinge app, because I was like, my thinking was, yeah.
Wait. You were at Joey Stone when you were at his house when you met. He invited. He's got to be invited to the wedding, then, right? We gotta let's do it.
We'll work on logistics.
Okay, that's crazy. I didn't know that. What are the odds?
Yeah, like 3 a.m, and because my thinking was, yeah, I'm probably not going to be able to go out to like bars or anything and like meet girls or anything like that. So I might as well jump on a dating app for the first time, and then like freaking grand slam on the first swing. Although there were some really creepy people on there, man. I don't like dating apps.
Again, we're the generation. Don't trust strangers online. 3 strangers online doing this every week.
But you can trust us.
Jarrett met stranger online, married said stranger.
Yeah. And in May or June, depending on when baby arrives. Craziness, man. Indy Carson for the 10 says, "Hey, NWP, I didn't watch the recent Phoenix race. I waited for the Iceberg post-race results. I'm not picking your driver picks for Vegas due to bad luck."
Yeah, we steered him astray at Phoenix last weekend we picked like Logano and Blaney, and they all had issues.
Yeah.
That's rough, buddy. Ross Crash Stain with the 5 says, what is the rest of Suarez's workout routine? Since Sunday was clearly leg day.
God.
That's so bad. It's great. I love it. Ready for it now? So should NASCAR be male? No.
No.
I knew that was coming. I should have read forward. Ryan
okay.
here with the 20, the orange 20, Tony Stewart's final win at Sonoma. He brought this up where he shoved Hamlin to the wall on the hairpin turn is a good example of a good finish where both drivers were getting at it at the end. I love it's an orange 20.
Yeah, that's fitting. Very fitting. Yeah. And the username is purple, like Denny Hamlin's car.
That's right. Wow.
With the little red YouTube logo on the screen to match. Was Tony in a red? No, he wasn't in a red car that day. Never mind. I was trying my best.
There had to be some red.
There's some red on there.
Find another orange sponsor, get on the 20 somehow.
Andrew Winslow says, as a Carl fan, I'm so happy. So happy. We're happy too. I miss Carl.
And this makes you today's big winner, Andrew.
You do not have to do a challenge. Alex Luft here says, random thought, we need Kyle Busch on Hot Ones. That would be
a
funny.
good one.
Oh yeah, he should do that. I feel like he would too.
You should go on Hot Ones, and the first
I
question should
wonder,
be
I
like,
wonder if he could actually handle hot wings. Like, I wonder if he's low key a baby with hot stuff.
he's from Vegas. He'll be fine. I feel like it'd be great. Get him like the hottest wings you can. His face turns red, and then you're like, so Kyle, what's it like sneaking guns into Mexico?
Oh man. Is that the kind of questions they ask on that show?
I don't know, but I'd be down for that to be the first one. I feel like he'd either choke on the hot sauce or laughing at the joke.
Imagine he answered back with, well, I snuck one in here, so.
Surprise.
Whoa.
Austin with 5 years says, any word on NBC's broadcast team this year? No Junior, no Steve, no Marty, no Kuhn. It's just Diffie, Burns, and Burton. Well, they didn't say that, Marty or Kim Kuhn wouldn't be on. It's assumed that Steve Letarte will be on. I mean, you got to remember, back in the day, Matt Yoakum did the entire NASCAR schedule for Fox and then Turner Sports / NBC. So like it's
a
not
lot of crossover now.
Yeah,
we had Larry McReynolds doing Fox, all of Speed stuff, and then he'd be on TNT back in the day.
Yeah, because there was that infamous, I didn't see it live because it was at Chicagoland, I think in 2008, where they spent like 5 minutes on Larry Mack doing like magic tricks in the garage area, like sawing someone in half or some stupid crap like that. And I guess like the forums back in the day for NASCAR fans were just lighting it up like, what the hell is this stupid stuff? Why aren't we taking the sport seriously? And it's good to know that none of it changed. It just got worse. Let's see. Gridflow says, I hope they race on Lake Texaco. Is this a reference? I don't know.
I'll look it up, but you can keep reading.
And Titan?
Is it a lake in Mexico? Is it a real place?
I'm probably just uncultured swine.
Well, I haven't heard of this either.
I mean, I know a lot of lakes. I've never heard of that lake.
Or is it Mexico City?
It's in Mexico City, apparently, or it's near Mexico City.
That's the thing. I'm in the American school system, so I didn't learn anything about the rest of the world. GN NASCAR fan for the 5 says, said this when this idea was announced, you easily could have done Frankenstein's repave to Fontana like Iowa is now and repave the rest 5 years later. I mean, I would have been cool if they repaved like the backstretch and left the corners just fine. Like that would have been fine.
Yep.
Let's see. Austin here for the 5 says, I do find it hilarious to an extent that tracks that killed Wilkesboro and Rockingham are now either dead or barely hanging on. And now those two are both back.
Life is a big circle. Didn't the Lion King teach us that?
Yeah. And then Mufasa's circle ended. Austin left another one saying during the random driver segment that it was our first driver guest in the podcast history.
Started with a big one.
Yeah. I mean, I remember good story about it. Austin brings up questions and statements in his super chats that bring up like the best stories we have since he's been around so long on these. When I found out that we got Bobby Allison, I called y'all into a Zoom meeting or like a Google Hangout or whatever. I'm like, guys, all right, do you have this day off? You guys like, yeah, we're doing the show that night. I'm like, okay, I got us Bobby Allison. And just the what? And then I think one of you went, bullshit. I just remember Eric, because you were at your parents and you ran out and you go, Dad, guess who we just got on? I just heard him in the other room. Who? We just got Bobby Allison on. Cool.
Yeah, I was like, he's a NASCAR Hall of Famer. And my dad was like, oh, yeah.
That was great.
Yeah.
That was great. I remember my parents, like I had my parents listening to see a reaction, and both of them were like, that was worth sitting in the back and staying quiet the whole time. Now Hunter Nixon fishing with the hundo. Damn, thank you. Woo.
Hunter is like the most generous person.
Very generous.
Like he's always supporting us. We appreciate it, Hunter.
We do. Thank you. That's gonna buy a lot of diapers. Fun fact. My grandfather and mom were friends with the Allisons growing up, and they were big fans of the Allison brothers. My mom still has the picture of her and my uncle when they were kids sitting next to Bobby in a living room couch. That is so cool.
That's awesome. Make sure that picture framed and protected. That's really cool to look back at, I'm sure.
God, I think I said the story. I don't think it was this phone, because I think since I got a new one.
Yeah, your first call on your old phone or whatever it was.
My first call, and it's like Bobby Allison, but I didn't recognize the area code because like when we didn't get the numbers communicated, I just heard like, hey, you're gonna get a call Sunday night. And I like answer the phone and I'm like, hello. And then I just hear, hey, is this Jarrett Lundberg? This is Bobby Allison calling. And I'm out on the deck with my parents, and I was like,
that's crazy.
I'm like, it's Bobby Allison. I'm like, yes, sir. Yes. How are you doing tonight? And I'm like, walk inside, lock myself in my room, and I'm like just writing down everything he's saying to make sure I get everything right. Oh man.
That's pretty funny to look back at that. But I still say that was not, I think me and Jarrett's geek out privately after we talked to Jimmy Johnson was probably bigger.
Yeah. Because me and Danny were because stuff kept changing so much. Because originally we were gonna do the interview, I think the Thursday before, and then it got changed because this was right after Jimmy announced he was going to be in IndyCar, because it was going to be the three of us and David Land doing the interview, and it'd be kind of like our spiritual successor to the Mark Martin interview when we had like all of us in Slap on.
Yeah.
And then it got changed to the next Tuesday. We're like, oh, okay. And then like the night before, they're like, hey, like we can't do that. We might get rained out till Tuesday. We found out later it'd be Wednesday. Can you do it Sunday, an hour before the race? And like, I'm like, hey, can we do this? And Eric's at the track.
I was like, yeah, that's why I couldn't be on.
And David, I think, was at like a test or something. And me and Danny was like, hell yeah, we can do it. Let's do it.
And someone brought up that they loved how we got Michael Maroots to ask a question. Y'all never saw the original Michael Maroots question. We had to have him refilm it.
Yeah, so he posted it in his reaction. That is probably, like, looking back, one of the best memories I have of being on YouTube is being able to do that for Michael, because Jimmy meant so much for him growing up. But after we finished that interview, me and Danny were like, oh my God, we just interviewed Jimmy Johnson. That's so freaking awesome. And I had to run to a birthday party for my cousin Sophie right after. So like I had to go, but my grandparents, I completely forgot, had a camera in their garage that was pointed down, covering that area of the garage. So they saw and heard me and Danny, because I took the headphones out because I didn't need them at that point. And like they heard me and Danny the whole time. And as soon as I walk in, they both go, oh my God, just like I did. And I'm like, crap. You saw that? And it's like, yeah, I mean, could be worse. Cool. Yeah, it was an awesome moment. And it's amazing how far we've come in this show since then. Let's see. PC 10.8 for the 5 says, if you bring back any sponsor that's not in the sport anymore, what would it be? Exide for me. Ooh.
Side note, cool train.
Yeah, I was figuring, like, is this username a train?
I don't recognize that.
Sponsor that I'd bring back. I mean, I'd love to have a Budweiser car again. Just like, I get they have Anheuser-Busch is still there, but like, I don't care for Busch. Whereas like, I'll drink Budweiser.
I mean, it's kind of recent, I know, but like M&Ms would be nice to have them back. They're just such a like recognizable, especially for younger fans.
I agree with what some people are saying. PepsiCo, and it'd be good to see like Mountain Dew schemes.
I
Let's
got
go to
I,
wars.
a follow-up question that'd be really good. What's one that doesn't exist anymore that you'd want back?
Ooh, that
Because
doesn't
like
exist anymore.
technically DuPont isn't, it got absorbed into Exalta. So like you could say
Right.
DuPont. Um does Kodak exist anymore?
Ooh, they had
Does
some great
anyone use
schemes.
Yeah, does anyone use
I think
film
Kodak.
cam-
I for some reason think Kodak does still exist, but I could be
I
wrong.
think they evolved into digital cameras and stuff.
Would Nextel count if you're talking about like a series sponsorship? Because Nextel and Sprint are no more.
Yeah.
DC Solar.
GM Goodwrench.
Yeah, that's right. Because like I believe in 2000, was it 7? They started winding that down, and then by like 2012, it was completely discontinued. God damn, there's some well, AT&T Singular got absorbed into AT&T because they had the whole lawsuit about it in 2007, if I'm right. Some are saying Affleck. Is Affleck gone? Like I don't pay attention.
Affleck's still around.
No,
Okay.
Affleck's huge in college football, guys.
Okay,
They have
that's
all those Nick Saban commercials.
We're talking about ones that don't exist anymore. I know Sharpies exist. Trust me. Like go to the wrong sides of Rockford, you'll find people huffing them. Probably other things too.
I don't think, here's something I'm looking up. I don't think Gander Outdoors, I don't think that exists anymore. I think that might have got divvied up between Camping World and Overton's, that company.
Kmart, Cartoon Network, those Cartoon Network officially got discontinued, though there's like others that use the remnants.
Yeah.
Let's see. GMAC.
That's Ally now,
That's
but
basically
yeah.
Ally today, yeah.
But it's technically not what it was. It got completely redone. Damn, there's a lot of them. Sears.
Someone said Irwin Tools is still a thing.
Yeah, that's still a thing. Yeah, those some good ones. Those some good ones. Oh, can't speak. Blake here says my fiance has found a driver. It's Blaney. It's a good driver.
Solid choice. Be
That's
around
a
for a
solid
while.
one.
Win some races.
West Virginia says, chat, I'm back in time. Do you know what to do? 48.
I'm telling you, there are some 48s in the chat, but sorry, West Virginia.
If Bowman wins this weekend, like whoever picks him should buy a lotto ticket. Just because it's like you've seen the universe line up right. Indy Carson says my Las Vegas picks are Larson, Elliott, Bell, and Reddick. So pretty close to ours.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, sorry, NASCAR or Indy Carson. We might end up steering you wrong again.
Oops.
Whoops.
Ferg says need a Mayor Heim win, please. DL Hockey Buddy. Sly Supersonic for the 306 says I might be Team Bell when Bush retires. Maybe.
That's
good
not a bad one to go with.
BGWX Chasing for the 5 says y'all mentioned bad weather this weekend. As a bad weather weenie myself, hope y'all stay safe. I'm a Hendrick guy, but I'm hyped for Bell to win 4 in a row.
I think a lot of people want to see it. It wouldn't be history, but it would be like recent history.
It'd be close. That is a historic list.
So is weather weenie, like, is that an official term that weather chasers use?
I do not know. I've not heard that one before. I've heard like storm chasers, but
I've heard
I like weather weenie.
I've heard like for train chasers, that's rail fans, or no one likes the term foamer, but it's a thing.
I think that's hilarious.
You know, this is so crazy. It's been 18 years since 2007.
It's a long time. Where were you in 2007, Jarrett?
I had just moved into the house that my parents live in now. We had moved from we'd lived in a condo for a couple years, and then on the day after Christmas 2006 we moved into that house. And on this day, actually, hold on, I might actually be able to pinpoint what I was doing on March 12th.
I'll tell you exactly where I was. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, 2007. I went to my first non-Texas Motor Speedway NASCAR race. It was weirdly enough the Brickyard 400.
I was in 6th, going into 7th grade in 2007.
Let's see. I was about 4 days away from getting my childhood dog, Gus.
Shout out Gus.
Love Gus Buster. Hunter Nixon with another 5. Damn, man. Thank you. Says, I missed Trackside Live on Friday night
we
on
all do.
Speed. Dude, Vody has taken me so far down memory lane. So he re-uploaded all the Chicagoland weekend, and like all my spare time, whether it was running on the treadmill, working out, whether it was getting work done, editing, I had every single practice session and race from that weekend on all the track sides and race days and stuff. And I remember what I was doing during most of that stuff. Like, absolutely love that channel. That guy is the GOAT. Austin with another 5 here says, what can I say? I love you guys. You're great at what you do. I like hearing stories and personal takes on life in NASCAR. God bless my guys. Well, thank you.
God bless you too, Austin.
Kind of
Thank
you to say.
We appreciate you again sparking some of the best conversations we have, man. Justin with the 20 says, to quote Slap Shoes, if you watch NASCAR long enough, everything comes full circle. Texas and I believe New Hampshire or Las Vegas booted out North Wilkesboro, and now the tides have turned on Texas. Sorry, Eric. It was Texas and New Hampshire, I believe, got a date or another date added on.
Side note, I've never asked enough about what's going on in this profile picture for them. I see the Greg Biffle font, but what kind of car is this? Is this the Canadian series?
Yeah, I don't know what that car that is. It's hard to tell.
Interstate batteries on it?
It looks good. At least from what I can see, it looks good. Let's see. Ambitious Ammonite. I like that. That goes to my like prehistoric fascination. If anyone doesn't know what ammonites are, they are like an extinct kind of I don't know if it's like cephalopod or kind of in the squid family, stuff like that. But they lived through the Mesozoic when the dinosaurs did. They were, they were in watch Walking with Dinosaurs from 1999. It says, love the show, y'all. Not NASCAR related, but what made you a fan of the Vikings, Jarrett? Skull. Well, Skull, and we've had a great free agency so far. My dad is a big Minnesota Vikings fan. His dad was too, and it's just something hanging out with my dad and watching the games. And it is what is it? The PTSD, as my dad calls it, purple traumatic stress disorder. But it's all worth it. It will be worth it when that day finally comes. But yes, that is why I'm a Vikes fan for life. I just want one before I die. Andre here for the 10 says, hey, Eric, I just want to say thanks again. I don't think you saw my reply. Love all you guys. And hopefully someday we can do our own version of the podcast Party Bus.
Yeah, Andre is he works at Rickware Racing, I believe, young guy, and I believe he is running a stadium stock race at Bowman Gray later this year. So he's an up and coming race car driver.
Awesome.
Met him. I don't remember where I met him originally, but I talked to him at Daytona a bit. He's a real go-getter, good dude.
Awesome.
Hope he has a good career, and maybe someday will be a great opportunity for us to work together.
Good luck, man. That's awesome.
Jarrett's gonna have an issue of American Walmarts in the chat because they just said, now draw me a picture of their Super Bowl trophy case.
Yeah. We're just getting it ready.
Cosmo.
Cosmo's here. He was scratching on the door, so Amelia let him in. Hi,
If
buddy.
I didn't have to read the super chats, I'd let old rep boy in. Riss brought him yesterday the remains of a ribeye, and he spent all day chewing on the bone. And I had ribeye bone shards in my foot today. And I was like, Riss, I'm throwing away the damn bone, because he just ate everything. Like, I'm pretty sure he was going after the marrow.
That reminds me, I sent you guys a picture and I posted on Twitter. We finally used our grill for the first time. We bought it last year. It's been in the garage for storage all winter. Now we finally use it. We found a butcher and got some fresh meat from them, including it came with this pack we got from it. Had 2 New York strips in it and 2 ribeyes. We cooked the strip. We cooked the ribeye tonight. If you ever buy a nice grill, pay extra for one that's got a sear grate on it. Totally worth it.
I had a grill once, but
Oh yeah.
I need to find that again. If I can ever find
just
it.
buy a steak and come over, and we'll take care of it.
Yeah. Hey, Cody Workman, good to see you, man. For the 5, I get to rep my Young Life area by giving the invocation again at Homestead, this time for Xfinity. The Young
Nice.
Life presence in NASCAR has been amazing. Yes, they were the sponsor on Eric Almirola's car. He
That's
said,
cool.
running it back. He sent me a text. He said, just running it back at Homestead. So good stuff, man. He was in the most recent e-ticket event that John and I did as well. Held his own pretty good. It was good. It's good seeing you, man. Justin Drake with another 5 here says, Danny, thanks for asking. This was a custom I made on Forza Horizon
that makes more
5.
sense. And it
Because
looks
they have
nice.
because they have the Gen 4 car, I decided to make it into a Dodge Roush design.
I was thinking it looks like it's got it looks like it's supposed to be like a Challenger in the front.
That's cool. Looks nice.
Rouser here says, for 2, my low hockey bud at Vegas if driver is ACDC. Am I missing something?
I'm not sure what that means, Rouser.
I'm sorry, Rouser.
Sorry, man. But we appreciate it. We appreciate the donation.
Please do not drink an NWP, everybody.
Hunter Nixon Fishing with the 5 says, one more and I'll chill out. If you're starting a cup team, who would you take? Current Kyle Larson or prime Tony Stewart? That's a lot closer than I think people give it credit for.
Controversial, but I'll take prime Tony Stewart, honestly.
What car are they driving? Are they driving the next gen? Because I would take
it. Don't matter. I think prime Tony Stewart would handle this car fine too.
probably.
Yeah, he was so damn good, but so's Kyle Larson. They're cut from the same cloth. You know,
I would lean Tony Stewart, but
it's so difficult.
I'd enjoy working with Kyle Larson more. Does that make
Prime
sense?
Tony in about 05 to 2011, he would handle this car.
Tony Stewart would give me a lot of wins, but he'd give me some headaches too. Whereas I feel like Larson would give me almost as many wins, but no headaches. So that's why it would be a tough decision.
The thing is, Tony would give you a lot of the press, though. And like it or not, with what Larson has on it in his past and all, Larson ain't going to get you much mainstream press.
Oh, yeah, he had enough
I'm
press.
saying if
you don't want that.
You give me prime Tony Stewart now, he's not drawing headlines like he did when NASCAR was at its peak.
Yeah, but the thing is, popularity wise, he's still getting out there more. Like he's still he was such a bigger name.
But that's where some of the headaches would come from, is he would say things that I'd go, oh.
Yeah, but I feel like it'd be worth it. Like that's an actually really good conversation.
That's why I'm saying I'd lean Stewart, but I'd definitely I'd have to make it sure the headaches are worth it.
Here's a question here from Devin. Would Larson bring you sponsorship? Since coming to Hendrick, he's not really had to worry about that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
I don't know who would be more attractive to sponsors. If Tony raced today, would he be attractive to sponsors? Stuart Haas wasn't exactly rolling in sponsorship when he bowed out, but he's not driving.
We're talking about prime Tony Stewart is going to.
You got to remember,
you
Yeah, Tony wasn't good since 2012. Like he was not a good. He was mediocre in 2013 before getting hurt, and then 2014 on he was atrocious. So it's like,
I think I'd take Stewart, but it's close.
Yeah. I'll go Tony.
It's not close for me, honestly. I'll take Tony.
It's my member. Kyle Larson's so talented, but I feel like Tony has the other intangibles you'd need for a good marketable race car driver. That's a great question. I love that. We should, if anyone in the future wants to leave other super chats, whether it's tonight or later on, leave hypothetical stuff like that, because those are some of the most fun combos. Will Griffin for the 2 says Pepsi is part of Celsius and they sponsor tracks. I think when we're talking about bringing sponsors back, it was just like the sponsor name itself. That's why I had to remove Budweiser and Busch, Anheuser-Busch, all that. Zardy here. Let's see. ACDC means
this is responding back to the Rouser thing, but honestly, this doesn't clear up my confusion.
Yeah, I'm very confused. Sorry.
Bobby Blair with the 5. Tony Stewart never gets enough credit for how talented he was in his prime. People mainly focus on his shenanigans on and off the track, in my opinion. Let's remember too, Joe Gibbs Racing was not the top tier OEM leading superpower it is now when Tony was driving there. They were on a lot of people compare them to RCR DEI levels, which is like the B's team to Hendrick. So it's like Kyle Larson has the best equipment in the field.
Did you miss Will Griffin right before Zardy by chance?
No, the Celsius one.
Okay, I didn't know if I didn't think I
Yeah.
heard you for that one.
Yeah, I got him. Jupiter Rain here with the 2 says, when will Elliott return to pre-accident form? I think he's
it was
close.
looking like it at Bowman Gray, but
I think he's close.
Yeah, he's close. But Phoenix looked a lot like last year, where like Byron was
Like-
great, Larson was top 5, and then Elliott and Bowman were like good, but
we're still so early. We got to give the teams time to catch up to each other. Still, I feel
He's well, and plus he's always kind of struggled at those flatter ones in recent years too. Like even before the injury, like Hendrick just they always have 1 or 2 that's good, but never the whole team.
Elliott won at Phoenix when it mattered the most.
Yes, he did a pretty good job that day too. All right, I think that's gonna do it. So thank you guys so much for coming out. Remember, next week we're on Danny's channel, March 19th, with Nicholas Caldwell from JGR coming back on, as well as Jet, the man who made all of these amazing graphics and makes this show look as good as it does. Much respect to him. So be sure to check us out there. I guess that's it. So did we cover it all? I think we're good.
well
All
done,
right.
folks. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate the support.
Later, y'all. Bye.
Drivers, start your 3, 2, 1. Green flag. Started off right now. Right on, come on.
Get outside.
3 wide, 3 wide.
Unbelievable.
Great playing. We're going. I like the aggression. Let me drop it. Great car. You can go tell all those guys up there they can suck it.
What we're about to do is not a good idea.
All good. What is he doing? You gotta be kidding me.
Half the pack is flying apart.
It's so nice to
See you at the line.
Oh, pack of cars come piling in as well.
Jump. Coming white. Hello.